Chapter 1435. 1695 times. Change, change, change. In an instant, 1 became 2, 2 became 4. But when 2 became 4, Chen Zhao's mana clearly couldn't keep up. When 2 became 4, the 4 clones were much weaker. No, are these 4 just decorations? How weak are they? 1999 times, too slow. 6 seconds in total. Speed up. 2788 times, no, continue. 3358 times, change, change, change. Finally, Chen Zhao completed 2 rounds of clones in 1 second. 1 became 2, 2 became 4. Including the original, there were 7. Chen Zhao wanted to break through the 8 old turtle had mentioned, but he couldn't do anything if he kept changing. If he wanted to double his base of 4, he would need to double his mana value. That was the most he could do right now. However, 6 clones and 1 original were equivalent to 7 complete Chen Zhaos. The 6 clones knew all the spells that the original knew. Of course, if they attacked at the same time, the mana consumption would be 10 times higher. This was because the transfer of mana between the original and the clones would be consumed. This was also why Chen Zhao couldn't clone anymore. Spell returned to 1. The 6 clones were enveloped by the dark lava and fused into Chen Zhao's body. They had 6 times the original's strength and resistance. The original version only had 4 times the original strength when the 12 clones used spell return to 1. The original version, on the other hand, had 6 times the original strength. Chen Zhao cancelled spell return to 1 and the 6 clones appeared again. The 6 clones also had their own dark lava. The amount was the same as the original. Chen Zhao's heart jumped. 1,000 swords control. The 6 original bodies and clones controlled 1,000 stone swords at the same time. The difficulty dropped by several times. Each body only had 100 or so stone swords. However, Chen Zhao wasn't satisfied. This meant that the technique of 1,000 swords control had improved, but the power hadn't. Old Turtle, help me forge another 6,000 stone swords. I've already prepared them for you. The 7 bodies used 1,000 swords control at the same time. The 7,000 stone swords were like a flood. Chen Zhao was overjoyed. This was the feeling, this feels great. Chen Zhao felt like he could fight against a modern army. 7,000 stone swords danced in the air, and they could coordinate with each other. The clone had strengthened Chen Zhao's combat ability. Rather, it could be said that his group attacks had reached an unparalleled level. Your fighting style is a little weak. If you knew more magic, you could use the cooperation of a few clones to defeat stronger enemies. Old Turtle, your way of thinking is outdated. Even if your fighting style is simple, the improvement is real. It was just like the famous 5 Fireball Gods sect in the online game O that he had played in school. Even if it was the simplest fireball technique, multiplied by 5 times, it would still be able to kill anything in its way. If Chen Zhao chose to give up his best fighting style for the sake of the cooperation between his clones and his main body, it would be a little like sacrificing his roots. If he had the time, he might as well train his own strength. Of course, what satisfied him the most was that his clones finally didn't have to run around naked anymore. Chen Zhao used 10,000 spells returned to 1 again and took out the Black Trident. The weight of the Black Trident was just right for Chen Zhao. He hadn't weighed it before, but it felt very comfortable to him. It could even be said that he had never used such a weapon before. Chen Zhao sent his magic into the Black Trident. The water vapor in the air started gathering. Soon, a blue ball of water with a diameter of 1 meter appeared above the Black Trident. This was the ability of Chen Zhao's Pocket World. It could automatically gather the water elements in the air. However, Although Chen Zhao could control water elements with the pocket world before, he couldn't gather them into a ball. Did this mean that the Black Trident had this ability? After thinking about it, it wasn't hard to understand. The Black Trident and the Deep Sea Domain originally belonged to the same master. Thus, it wasn't hard to understand why the Black Trident had this ability. However, if it was in the sea, the power of this move could be dozens of times stronger. Chen Zhao swung the Black Trident forward. The water ball spun at high speed and flew forward. As the water ball spun, it constantly shot out water droplets. Each water droplet was as lethal as a bullet. Chen Zhao had an idea. He jogged to the river. Another water ball was formed. This time, the diameter was many times larger than before. He swung the Black Trident forward and the water ball spun rapidly again. This time, it was even more powerful. The water droplets shot out in all directions. Chen Zhao frowned. This move was powerful, but it could hurt his own people too easily. Chen Zhao couldn't do anything about it. The water droplets shot out completely based on inertia. Their biggest feature was that they were densely packed and couldn't be aimed. It couldn't be like West's field of slowness, which could be controlled by West consciously so that his companions wouldn't be affected. There's a curse on your weapon. Surprise appeared in Old Turtle's eyes. Why didn't you get rid of the curse? What curse? I didn't notice. I feel like it's very smooth. This isn't your weapon, right? No, it's from the previous owner of the Deep Sea Domain. I picked it up for free. Oh, I see. Old Turtle nodded. The previous owner must have left a curse on it before he died. If you don't get rid of the curse, you can't pick up the weapon. Can't pick up the weapon. Chen Zhao was shocked. But, why can I pick it up? Nonsense. Even spells have their limits. The so-called being unable to lift it is only applicable to ordinary people. If ordinary people haven't broken the spell on this weapon, of course, they won't be able to lift it, let alone use it. Chen Zhao was enlightened. So that's why. Chen Zhao had thought that the demon from before was the same type as him, a strength-enhancing demon that needed such a heavy weapon. It turned out that the Black Trident was so heavy because of the spell. Do you want me to get rid of the curse? Old Turtle asked. It's not hard. No, I think it's better like this. What a joke. If he got rid of the curse, the weapon would lose its weight and become useless to Chen Zhao. It would become a magic ritual implement. Although it could amplify water spells, to Chen Zhao, it would lose its most important close combat function. Please remember this book's domain name, 9 Heavens Divine Emperor Mobile Version. Chapter 1436. The next day, Chen Zhao went to the headquarters early in the morning. He planned to challenge the 8th level of the Tower of Trials. Last time was Chen Zhao's first failure. But that wasn't a true failure. In fact, it wasn't completely impossible for him to pass the 8th level. The strongest move of the frenzied ocean demons on the 8th level was to combine thousands of them into one move. But this move had a fatal flaw. It was ineffective against people who were flying. After all, the waves that the frenzied ocean demons could create were at most 100 meters in the sky. If Chen Zhao flew directly into the sky, the frenzied ocean demons wouldn't be able to do anything to him. Chen Zhao could totally avoid the first wave of attacks and then counterattack. The reason why he hadn't used other methods was mainly because of his obsession. Some things couldn't be avoided. If he encountered a situation that he had to face, he wouldn't even have the power to escape. For example, if his family was behind the waves, could he still escape? Chen Zhao hoped that no matter what problem he faced, he wouldn't just choose to escape. Chen Zhao greeted the people from the headquarters and entered the Tower of Trials. President, you're probably here to pass the 8th level, right? Judging from his expression, he's clearly prepared. Sigh. When can I pass the 1st level? Patya said in despair. As the successor of the shaman's battle dance, Patya had no combat ability at all, so it was basically impossible for her to pass the 1st level alone. Chen Zhao entered the 8th level and took out his black trident. It was still a boundless ocean. Soon, a black shadow appeared under Chen Zhao's feet. It was the same as the first time Chen Zhao had come to the 8th level. A lone frenzied ocean demon had attacked. Chen Zhao swept down with the black trident. A huge force swept across and the lone frenzied ocean demon was smashed into pieces. Then, a white wave appeared on the distant horizon. It's here. Just like last time. Thousands of frenzied ocean demons had come. Chen Zhao tapped the black trident lightly on the surface of the sea. He calmly waited for the wave to come. Closer and closer. Closer and closer. He could already see countless frenzied sea demons stirring up waves in the boundless waves. Finally, the huge wave reached Chen Zhao. Just like last time, Chen Zhao was about to be killed instantly. Just inches away, Chen Zhao suddenly lifted the black trident and drew an arc on the surface of the sea. However, this breath was nothing compared to the huge wave. But as the arc was thrown out, it grew larger and larger. It was like a sharp blade cutting through the inner wall of a huge wave. Boots starting from his feet, the water parted, extending all the way to the top of the huge wave. The huge wave was completely cut apart. The giant waves were raised by the frenzied ocean demons, and when thousands of them raised the giant waves at the same time, there was some kind of connection between them. But now, because of Chen Zhao's interference, this balance had been destroyed. The originally boundless waves collapsed in an instant. Chen Zhao's eyes lit up. Success. Chen Zhao glanced around. Countless frenzied sea monsters were tumbling in the water. It seemed that they were planning to regroup and use the same trick again. He could only do it once. There was no point in doing it again. Chen Zhao didn't plan on giving them another chance. He lifted the black trident and dove into the water. A frenzied ocean demon pounced over. Chen Zhao swung the black trident. There was no seawater resistance. Chen Zhao realized that when he swung the black trident in the water, its power wouldn't be absorbed by the water. This was much more convenient than just swinging his fists. Last time, when Chen Zhao had chased that mutated two-headed shark, his fists actually couldn't kill it. Because of the seawater resistance, the power of Chen Zhao's fists was greatly reduced. But it wouldn't be the case this time. Swinging the black trident in the water was more comfortable than in the air. It was like there was no resistance at all. The individual strength of the frenzied ocean demons wasn't weak, but they weren't that strong either. Their strongest killing move was their combined attack. Their individual damage was too limited. Soon, the entire sea was dyed red. The corpses of the frenzied ocean demons floated on the surface. 1,000. Chen Zhao didn't make a mistake. At most, he could just add a few more. As expected, Chen Zhao received a notification. Level 8 of the Tower of Trials. Score, SS. Chen Zhao didn't know when the frenzied ocean demon had touched him, but there was no SS. But Chen Zhao wasn't a crazy demon for points. Recently, there was a trend in the association. Most people had passed the first level but were stuck on the second, so they all ran back to the first to farm points. To pass the first level with a better score, Chen Zhao didn't have that obsession. So he went straight to the 9th floor. Hell. The 9th level didn't have a human environment as the background. It was hell. The air was filled with the smell of sulfur. Chaotic spiritual qi filled the entire world. Chen Zhao was too familiar with hell. To him, this environment wasn't even as difficult as the previous levels. Of course, the environment of each level didn't affect the difficulty too much. What really affected each level were the monsters and demons guarding each level. Just then, a loud dragon roar came from the distance. Yes, it was a dragon roar. A black dot approached from the horizon. Black dragon. It was a black dragon. There was only one. But this black dragon was an enemy Chen Zhao had never seen before. It emitted a powerful dragon's might. Even Chen Zhao was affected by the dragon's might. Chen Zhao felt his magic being suppressed. This was the effect of the dragon's might. Even though Chen Zhao wasn't afraid mentally, his body was still instinctively affected. This black dragon's might was more than 100 times stronger than Gaia's. Of course, its body was even bigger than Gaia's. It was already shocking enough that it was 100 meters long. Human? The black dragon asked. Chen Zhao frowned and stared at the black dragon with full attention. You can talk. This was the first time a self-aware monster had ever existed in the Tower of Trials. Also, wasn't there a boss every 6 levels? He'd already encountered a boss on the 6th level. Why was there another one on the 9th? Would there be a boss every 3 levels? Hearing Chen Zhao's words, the black dragon was instantly enraged. Human, you're asking for death. Instantly, the black dragon spat out dragon breath. A terrifying heat wave attacked Chen Zhao. Danger! Chen Zhao tensed up. He suddenly flipped over and dodged. Please remember this book's domain name, 9 Heavens Godly Emperor Mobile Version. Chapter 1437. It wasn't like Chen Zhao had never seen someone stronger than him in hell. However, those that were stronger were basically the type that could crush him with one finger. They looked harmless, but once they started fighting, Chen Zhao wouldn't even know how to write the word death. But the black dragon before him was different. Chen Zhao didn't know why. He just wanted to kill the black dragon, and the black dragon did the same. It wanted to kill the human before him. It wasn't because this was the level of the Tower of Trials or because the black dragon was the boss here. It just wanted to kill the human. Compatible enemies. The black dragon said an inexplicable technical term. What do you mean? I mean, you're going to die. The black dragon suddenly swung its huge tail. Boom! Chen Zhao flew out in response. Before Chen Zhao could stand up, the black dragon's breath came again. Chen Zhao rolled to the side and dodged it. At the same time, he quickly took out his black trident and waved it. A water ball condensed with the trident and shot toward the black dragon. The black dragon's head was hit by the water ball. Its head tilted slightly, but it wasn't injured at all. The black dragon turned its head and looked at Chen Zhao again. Chen Zhao didn't dare to be careless at all. Avatar. Change, 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 spell returned to 1. Chen Zhao stretched his arms and legs. After spell returned to 1, the dragon's pressure on Chen Zhao lessened. But not by much. Originally, it had suppressed at least 20% of Chen Zhao's magic power. Now, it was around 15%. Chen Zhao moved again. This time, he was several times faster than before. His strength was also several times greater. The black dragon's head took a solid hit from Chen Zhao's attack. The black trident hit the black dragon's head heavily. With a boom, the black dragon's huge head smashed into the ground. But in that instant, a terrifying pressure burst forth from the black dragon's horns. Chen Zhao's body froze. The black dragon's head went up and Chen Zhao was sent flying. Neither of them had a good ending this round. The black dragon shook its head. That hit wasn't light. Chen Zhao also felt sore all over. But he was more concerned about the black dragon's counterattack. At that moment, Chen Zhao felt like he was hit by West's slow field. But it was different. The range of West's slow domain was limited. But against people with much higher magic power than West, the slow field was ineffective. But in that moment, Chen Zhao suddenly felt that he couldn't move. It was only for a short moment, but it posed a great threat to Chen Zhao. If the black dragon kept using this move, then what was the point of fighting? He could just lie down. Chen Zhao stared at Black Dragon warily, and Black Dragon stared back at him warily. He was different from those brainless gatekeepers from before. The Black Dragon knew how to think. Chen Zhao secretly assessed Black Dragon's strength. In terms of strength, it was about the same as his 10,000 techniques returned to 1, but in terms of speed, it was slightly inferior. However, the Black Dragon's huge body gave it an advantage when it came to explosive power. His dragon breath and the spell that could instantly freeze him posed a great threat to him, but he didn't know if he had any other trump cards. Of course, his dragon might was also a great threat to Chen Zhao. This was a weakening halo, and it was permanent. Finally, Black Dragon moved. A huge magic formation appeared above his head. It shone on Chen Zhao like a searchlight. Chen Zhao jumped in fright, but the next moment, he realized that he was completely unharmed. What spell was this? Just as Chen Zhao was confused, Black Dragon spat out dragon breath again. Chen Zhao hurriedly dodged, but this time, Black Dragon's breath seemed to have locked onto him. Wherever Chen Zhao hid, the dragon's breath would follow. Damn, this spell is a tracking spell. By now, Chen Zhao had been through hundreds of battles. He immediately understood the effect of this spell. Unable to dodge, dark lava surged up and blocked in front of Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao hadn't planned on using dark lava so early. But now, Black Dragon had forced him to use dark lava to protect himself. Chen Zhao immediately melted into the lava. The lava stuck to the ground, so Black Dragon couldn't attack him immediately. This was Chen Zhao's ultimate life-saving technique. Black Dragon saw a large patch of dark lava spreading toward him. He didn't know what it was, but he instinctively didn't want to touch it. He immediately flapped his wings and flew into the air. But at this moment, the dark magma formed a straight line and chased after the Black Dragon that had risen into the sky. The moment it caught up to Black Dragon, dark lava turned into a sharp rope and pierced into Black Dragon's claws. Roar! Black Dragon roared in pain. At the same time, he felt something invading his body. A tyrannical power burst forth in an instant, and the dark magma that had already invaded the Black Dragon's dragon claws was directly repelled. Chen Zhao cursed. As expected, it was unrealistic to rely on dark lava's corrosion to deal with an enemy of this level. This guy was stronger and harder to deal with than the self-proclaimed god he'd met in the Amazon rainforest. That so-called god was only supported by the power of his believers. Also, he couldn't expel dark lava's corrosion from his body instantly like Black Dragon. Chen Zhao realized that in this world, those who called themselves gods were basically all amateurs. Whether it was the source of the fallen or the god in the Amazon rainforest, they were all fierce, but their greatest ability was to bewitch others. When it came to a real fight, they were like cowards. The truly powerful ones usually kept quiet. For example, Kong Mosa. Chen Zhao had never heard of him. But that was Chen Zhao's first time meeting someone at his level. It could be said that if he didn't have external help and the handsome guy as support, Chen Zhao might not have been able to get rid of Kong Mosa. The Black Dragon before him was the same. He didn't waste time talking and didn't care about life and death. Chen Zhao suddenly shot out of the dark lava. Holding the black trident with both hands, he attacked from below, wanting to pierce Black Dragon's heart. His heart soared. Alarmed, Black Dragon's pressure exploded again. Chen Zhao, who was in the air, felt awkward. He froze on the spot. But this time, Black Dragon didn't attack Chen Zhao. Instead, it swayed left and right in the air, keeping its body from landing. Chen Zhao couldn't help but frown. This spell was indeed very powerful. As long as it worked, it was almost undefeatable. However, Black Dragon seemed to have a hard time using this move. When he used it, he almost fell from the sky. The Black Dragon recovered and Chen Zhao also broke free from the solidification. The two, one above and one below, stared at each other in the air. Both were thinking of countermeasures. Please remember the original domain name of this book, 9 Heavens Godly Emperor mobile version. Chapter 1438. Black Dragon looked down at Chen Zhao from above. Even though he always spouted arrogant words, he wasn't an idiot. Of course, he could feel that the human before him wasn't the lowly and cowardly human he'd described. At least, Chen Zhao had the ability to injure or even defeat him. Neither of them had an absolute chance of winning. In fact, both sides had many trump cards. But not all of them were effective against the opponent. For example, Chen Zhao's Imperial Thousand Swords. Its strength lay in group attacks. Against a thick-skinned Black Dragon, if one sword couldn't pierce through his defense, then the effect of 1,000 swords would be negligible. So, it was better not to use this move. It was useless anyway. Black Dragon was the same. He also had many spells. But after the short exchange earlier, he could already feel that Chen Zhao's defense and resistance were on the same level as his. Using those concealment spells was just a waste of his magic power. This time, it was Chen Zhao who attacked first. Chen Zhao's speed exploded. There was a pop in the air. Like an arrow leaving a bow, Chen Zhao shot toward Black Dragon. Fast. He was as fast as lightning. Even the Black Dragon's scales were standing on end. Chen Zhao's speed was his biggest problem. No, he had to use that move again. In the blink of an eye, Black Dragon unleashed his bloodline pressure once more. This ability was actually a transformation of Dragon Might, but it was even stronger. Dragon Might could suppress the weak both mentally and physically. Even for an expert like Chen Zhao, it still had a strong suppressive force. Bloodline pressure was even scarier than Dragon Might. It was a complete suppression. It could completely freeze the enemy's body. But bloodline pressure wasn't without weaknesses. First, it was too much for Black Dragon to use his bloodline power. If he used all his strength to release bloodline pressure, he would also enter a temporary weakness. It was like a human who used up too much energy and couldn't catch his breath. But the dragon race's recovery speed was insane. Even if he used up all his energy, he could still recover quickly. Chen Zhao smiled. This was what he'd been waiting for. The moment Black Dragon used bloodline pressure, Chen Zhao's black trident also flew out. Whoosh, the black trident pierced through the scales below Black Dragon's abdomen. Just as Chen Zhao had guessed, Black Dragon could stop him, but he couldn't stop the weapon's trajectory. Moreover, judging from the depth of the black trident, the Black Dragon was clearly in a weakened state when he used this move. Roar! The Black Dragon roared. I'll take your life while you're down. Chen Zhao dashed to the dragon's abdomen and pulled out the black trident. Instantly, dragon blood splattered all over Chen Zhao's body. It hurts. Chen Zhao felt as if his body had been splashed by lava. Then, the black dragon's wings slapped down at Chen Zhao's head. Chen Zhao landed heavily on the ground. The black dragon also fell. Chen Zhao stood up shakily. Gritting his teeth, he endured the burning pain in his body. The black dragon stood up again. Despicable humans. Just then, Chen Zhao felt something surge in his body. It was a strange yet familiar feeling. Chen Zhao was sure that it existed, but he couldn't find what it was. The burning sensation gradually subsided. Then, Chen Zhao felt a gust of air around him. It was very small and weak. But it blocked the black dragon's draconic aura outside. It was very similar to draconic aura. No, it was draconic aura. Draconic aura. Chen Zhao's heart jumped. Had he obtained draconic aura? How was that possible? He didn't have dragon blood. How could he have draconic aura? Had he touched the black dragon's blood just now? That was even more impossible. In reality, one couldn't have dragon blood just by soaking in dragon blood. If that was the case, the dragon race would have been slaughtered by other races long ago. Only those with dragon blood, like Gaia, could absorb dragon blood to increase the purity of their bloodline. It was like how Gaia had absorbed the three-headed dragon's blood to increase her bloodline. However, the three-headed dragon was a mixed blood, so its bloodline wasn't pure. Gaia's improvement was also limited. Chen Zhao was sure that he didn't have dragon blood. If he wanted to obtain dragon characteristics, he had to go through the mouth of gluttony. Nowadays, Chen Zhao rarely used the mouth of gluttony to devour. This was because the power obtained after devouring might not be what he wanted. Moreover, after devouring, even the host wasn't sure what would happen after fusing with his own power element. It might even make him weaker. Chen Zhao didn't think that he had to change his power element. Even if it was a dragon, Chen Zhao didn't think that it was necessary. Thus, it was very strange that he had obtained draconic aura. Just then, an aura gathered above Chen Zhao's head. Sensing the aura, Chen Zhao looked up. Spiritual key. Ever since Chen Zhao had absorbed the spiritual key, he tried countless times, but he still couldn't figure out its use. Every key had a different way of absorbing energy and had different functions. When he'd absorbed the spiritual key with his primordial spirit, Chen Zhao had almost forgotten about it because he couldn't figure out how to use it. The golden key could allow him to evolve, but he still couldn't figure out how to use the spiritual key. Now, the spiritual key had actually been activated. Could it be that the spiritual key had given him draconic aura? But what was the use of the spiritual key? Even though the spiritual key had been activated, Chen Zhao was still confused. He didn't understand. He really didn't understand. Did the seniors who'd created the keys have something wrong with their brains? Why did they have to make things so complicated? Couldn't they have created something easier to understand? At the very least, they should have made an instruction manual or something. Had the spiritual key been activated by the black dragon's blood? Or by the dragon's blood? Chen Zhao instinctively felt that his guess wasn't right. It shouldn't be so simple. Although the dragon race was powerful, they were essentially not a special species. Suddenly, a thought flashed through Chen Zhao's mind. At first, the black dragon had said that he was a compatible enemy. Could it be because of that? Compatible enemy. Chen Zhao didn't understand, but he felt that it might be because he was the dragon's compatible enemy. Chen Zhao looked at the black dragon. The black dragon still didn't know that he'd obtained draconic aura. Although the range of draconic aura was very small, it blocked the black dragon's draconic aura. This caused the dragon's power, which had been weakened by the draconic aura, to recover to its peak. Chen Zhao gripped the black trident tightly and stared at the black dragon. Chapter 1439. The black dragon suddenly felt that the human in front of it had become stronger. Had he never used his full strength before? The black dragon's gaze sharpened. It suddenly spread its wings and made a strange pose. Chen Zhao was confused. The black dragon's pose was like the dragon in some Western pictures. Its hind legs were on the ground, its wings spread, and its head was facing Qinzhao. Was the black dragon planning to make a performance art with such a strange pose? Wait. If it wasn't performance art, then it must be using some magic. The black dragon must have sensed something, so it decided to use its trump card. As expected, a magic array with a diameter of 100 meters appeared behind the black dragon. It moved forward and passed through the black dragon's body. The black dragon's scales seemed to have been washed and polished. They were black and shiny. With a roar, flames burst out of the black dragon's body and spread in all directions. Destroy! The black dragon pounced at Qinzhao. Just then, another ring of flames burst out of its body. Another ring of flames. Qinzhao hurriedly retreated. The black dragon seemed to be able to release these flames endlessly. The closer he got to the black dragon, the hotter the flames became. He couldn't even get close. How could he fight? Qinzhao had thought that he could use his dragon's might to counter the black dragon's might and not be suppressed. He didn't expect the black dragon's trump card to make Qinzhao unable to fight back. However, Qinzhao was furious now. After using its trump card, the black dragon chased after Qinzhao arrogantly. Qinzhao smashed the end of the black trident heavily on the ground. Suddenly, Qinzhao felt water under his feet. An underground river. Qinzhao smashed the ground with the black trident again. Through the echoes, he seemed to be able to identify the water buried underground. The underground water wasn't deep either. It was only a dozen meters under his feet. Just then, the black dragon pounced at him again. This time, Qinzhao didn't run. Seeing the black dragon pounce at him, Qinzhao raised the black trident. Boom! Instantly, the ground cracked and pillars of water shot into the sky. The underground water that soared into the sky directly drenched the defenseless black dragon's heart. Before he could react, Qinzhao had already charged forward. In this environment where the moisture in the air increased, not only did Qinzhao's mana recovery speed increase, but his attack power also increased. On the other hand, the power of Black Dragon's Ring of Destruction was greatly reduced. Just like in a tropical rainforest, in a humid environment, a match that was lit would be extinguished in a short period of time. Qinzhao flew onto the Black Dragon's back, not caring if the Black Dragon was happy or not. The Black Trident pierced through the Black Dragon's neck. Roar! The Black Dragon rolled on the ground, trying to push Qinzhao off its back. But Qinzhao held onto the Black Trident tightly. Seeing that this move was ineffective, the Black Dragon tried another one. Just as Qinzhao was about to behead Black Dragon, he suddenly lost his footing. The Black Trident missed too. The Black Dragon disappeared. Missing. Where is the Black Dragon? Where did the Black Dragon go? Just a moment ago, he was holding the Black Trident against the back of the Black Dragon's neck. How did he disappear in the blink of an eye? Are you kidding me? Dragon blood was still dripping from the Black Trident. It wasn't invisibility. If it was, the Black Trident wouldn't have fallen off. Just then, Qinzhao saw a humanoid figure flying into the distance. What? Is that a Black Dragon? Qinzhao was furious. Are you kidding me? A gatekeeper boss can run away. Qinzhao charged forward and shot the Black Trident at the figure. Ah! The Black Trident pierced through the Black Dragon and fell to the ground. Qinzhao immediately rushed over, but when he arrived, he saw that the Black Trident had been thrown on the ground. There was also a blood-stained broken arm on the Black Trident. It was a broken arm in the shape of a human. Qinzhao picked up the Black Trident and the broken arm at the same time. The Black Trident had pierced the Black Dragon's arm, but he could have just taken it off. Why did he leave his own arm behind? Was it a greeting gift? Stop joking. That was a black dragon. Chen Zhao suddenly thought of a possibility. After the black dragon turned into a human, his physical strength wasn't as strong as when he was in dragon form. That was why he couldn't lift the black trident and could only cut off his arm to survive. Chen Zhao couldn't think of any other possibilities. But the gatekeeper boss had escaped. What was going on? Why did it run away? If he wanted to pass, did he have to find and kill the black dragon? But the world was so big. How was he supposed to find it? Never mind. He'd ask the handsome guy later. Chen Zhao wiped the blood on his body. The blood didn't burn as much as before, but he didn't activate the undead key either. It seemed that activating the undead key only gave him some dragon's might. Apart from that, it didn't have any practical use. Other than making him immune to the dragon's might, his dragon's might didn't increase his strength at all. Moreover, the range of dragon's might was very small. Gaia could make its dragon's might cover a diameter of 20 meters, but Chen Zhao could only cover a diameter of 1 meter. Thinking about it, Chen Zhao decided not to use dragon's might in case Gaia laughed at him. Chen Zhao looked at the broken arm in his hand. He was about to throw it away when he suddenly paused. He wondered if Gaia could extract dragon blood from it. Let's take it out and see. Chen Zhao glanced around. He was disappointed that the black dragon had escaped. The next time they met, he definitely wouldn't let it go. But the next time they met, it would probably be an even more intense battle. After all, Chen Zhao knew the black dragon's characteristics. The black dragon also knew Chen Zhao's characteristics. It probably wouldn't be as easy as today. Fortunately, he'd broken off one of the black dragon's claws. The dragon would definitely be weakened. Just then, Chen Zhao received a notification from the Tower of Trials. Black dragon escaped. Leave the Tower of Trials or continue searching. Leave the Tower of Trials. In the blink of an eye, Chen Zhao exited the Tower of Trials. When everyone saw Chen Zhao come out, they immediately surrounded him. President, did you pass the 8th level? West asked. Chen Zhao nodded. Yes. Guild leader, whose arm is that? The big boss of the 9th level. Can the limbs of the monsters inside be taken out? Not the ones before, but the one on the 9th level is special. Not only is it strong, but it can also escape. I fought with it for more than an hour, but it escaped, Chen Zhao said gloomily. Gaia, this is for you. Everyone was dumbfounded. It was understandable to give someone a gift. But what was the meaning of giving away a severed arm? Chapter 1440. Others might not understand, but Gaia understood as soon as she touched the arm. A pure-blood dragon. As Gaia's power increased, she understood her bloodline very well. Unlike her, who could transform into a dragon, a pure-blood dragon had to be extremely powerful to transform into a human. Can you absorb the dragon blood in this arm? Chen Zhao asked. Yes. Gaia nodded. But I need time. Just then, Jolanash landed from the sky. President, look, I can fly too, Jolanash said proudly. Not many people in the association could fly, even those stronger than her. Gaia had to transform into a fire dragon to fly, while Helith and Norma couldn't. Only Chen Zhao could fly. Jolanash felt that she couldn't catch up to Chen Zhao or Gaia in terms of power, so she had to catch up in other ways. Only Chen Zhao could fly. Jolanash felt that it would be difficult for her to catch up to Chen Zhao or Gaia in terms of power, so she could only catch up in other aspects. Only Chen Zhao could fly. Jolanash felt that she couldn't catch up to Chen Zhao or Gaia in terms of power, so she had to catch up in other ways. Now that Jolanash had mastered it, she immediately came to show off to Chinzhao. Of course, most people were envious of her showing off. Jolanash was one of the few who could master water, fire, wind, and earth magic at the same time. She could also master 4 branches of elemental magic. Actually, Jolanash wasn't weak. At least in Chinzhao's eyes, Jolanash and Helith were on the same level. But the difference was that Helith specialized in necromancy, while Jolanash was too mixed. She could basically learn all kinds of magic, but she wasn't proficient in any. If she could specialize in one, she might not be much weaker than Helith. She might even be stronger. Of course, Chinzhao had no obligation or right to ask Jolanash to specialize in a certain type of magic. Chinzhao wasn't her teacher or parent. Plus, his elemental magic might not be as good as Jolanash's. In Chinzhao's opinion, learning magic was first and foremost about interest, not about how awesome one was. On the way home, Chinzhao called the handsome guy. "Handsome, are you busy? I've never experienced what you humans call busy. If possible, I'd like to experience it." Chinzhao saw that the handsome guy was in the sky above a battlefield. There were countless demons fighting below, which was why Chinzhao thought that the handsome guy was participating in a war. However, when he looked at the demons fighting, although their numbers were endless, he didn't see any powerful ones. Even Chinzhao could kill his way in and out. If the handsome guy really joined the battle, he could probably destroy both sides with a finger. "What are you doing?" he asked curiously. "It's a war started by my 2 followers' respective races. Whoever wins will get the chance to advance, and the loser's race will be exterminated." Chinzhao shivered. This was indeed the style of hell. "By the way, my daughter's birthday is on the 15th of this month. It's a pity that you can't come to my daughter's birthday party." "Your eldest daughter?" "Yes." Chinzhao nodded. "Oh, do you know what a compatible enemy is?" "Oh. Did you encounter a compatible enemy?" "Yes, but I don't know what it means." "I heard it from him. In human terms, it's a fated enemy. Every soul has its own fate. Every soul's fate will resonate with other souls. Friends, enemies, family. A series of relationships are all caused by the resonance between souls. But there's another kind of relationship, which is a compatible enemy," the handsome guy said. "A compatible enemy is like a natural enemy. Once they meet, they'll reject each other, hate each other, and kill each other until one of them dies." "Is this also a part of the rules?" Chinzhao asked. "Rather than a part of the rules, it's more like a part of fate," the handsome guy said. "You humans have a game called jigsaw puzzles, right? What does this have to do with puzzles?" "Fate is like a jigsaw. A compatible enemy is a jigsaw that perfectly matches your fate. Since it's a jigsaw that perfectly matches my fate, it should be something like the closest relationship, right? How did it become an enemy?" "This is the magic of fate. Because it's a perfect match, they'll kill each other. Maybe it's called fate instinct. I don't know much about fate, but I've done research on compatibility. I've captured many compatible enemies for research. The most direct observation is that after killing a compatible enemy, the winner's talent increases. It's not an increase in power, but his future power or achievement will be higher." Chinzhao sank into deep thought. Then the dead key shouldn't be called the dead key, but the destiny key. Compatible enemies would kill each other and steal each other's luck. The destiny key would steal the other's ability or something else. "Where did you encounter a compatible enemy?" "If it's in hell, I can help you. In the Tower of Trials, level 9, a black dragon." "Oh, you've reached level 9 already?" "Yes." "Did you kill that black dragon?" "No, he escaped," Chinzhao said. You're too careless. Next time, you need to be more careful. Originally, there shouldn't be any danger to your life in the Tower of Trials, but since it's a compatible enemy, then it could really threaten your life. Furthermore, every level after the 9th level is different from the previous ones. The 1st to 8th levels of the Tower of Trials are just monsters created by consciousness, but from the 9th level onwards, there are real enemies. The handsome guy was a bit anxious. Maybe you should bring the Tower of Trials back to hell. I'll help you deal with this. No, since it's my enemy, I'll do it myself, Chen Zhao said. Are you that proud? The handsome guy teased. No, I just feel that I should at least respect my fate and my enemy. You won the first fight, right? Yes. He's injured. Yes. Then you should go in while he's still recovering. He escaped, and the 9th level seems to be very big. I couldn't find him. Your enemies. Fate will let you meet. Even if you want to avoid each other, it's impossible. Fate will tie you together until one of you dies. He lost an arm. I don't think he'll be a threat to me. I said, don't be careless. As long as your enemy isn't dead, you can't be careless. Your enemy can threaten you at any time. Chapter 1441. On the way home, Chen Zhao's words kept echoing in his head. Even if he had lost an arm, would he still be a threat to him? Chen Zhao had been a bit arrogant, thinking that the next time they met would be Black Dragon's death. Now, it seemed that he was too naive. The next time they fought, it wouldn't be so easy. He really did not have the means to completely restrain the Black Dragon, even if it had lost one of its claws. Suddenly, a figure passed before Chen Zhao's car. SSSSS, Chen Zhao quickly stepped on the brakes, but the person in front still fell to the ground. He didn't touch it. Could it be a scam? Chen Zhao got out of the car and went forward to check. Miss Shira. Chen Zhao did not expect Shira to be the one trying to blackmail him. Of course, Xiao La wasn't trying to cheat. She was just frightened. Chen Zhao pulled Shira up. Miss Shira, are you okay? Charla's expression didn't look too good, but Chen Zhao wouldn't agree that it was because she was scared by his car. I'm fine. Do I need to take you to the hospital? At the same time, he checked on Charla. She didn't seem to have any physical injuries, but her mental state was rather poor. No, thank you. I'm fine. Xiao La shook her head. Then, can I trouble you to send me home? No matter what, Shira had helped a lot when little Larissa was born. Chen Zhao was still very grateful to the people who stayed to help. It wasn't just for. She was family. He was very grateful for Shira, Daily Moore, and Navat Singer's help. Miss Shira, if you encounter any trouble, you can tell me. Maybe I can help. No, I'm fine. Shira's smile was a little forced. This is my phone number. If you need anything, you can call me anytime. Okay, thank you. It seemed like Chen Zhao was plotting something against Xiao La, but Xiao La didn't think too much about it. After all, she knew how pretty Fei Lai was. She wouldn't have any bad thoughts about her. Xiao Lai's house was not small. It was a detached villa in a high-class neighborhood. Miss Xiao La, is this your home? Yes, Mr. Chen. Would you like to come in for some water? No, I have to hurry home. Chen Zhao felt like he'd been staying at home for the past year. To be precise, he had become an otaku ever since he had little Jerlin, and he became even more otaku after he had little Larissa. As soon as he was done with his work, he wanted to go home and hug his daughter. Shayla stood in front of her door and did not enter. Her hands were trembling and her eyes were unfocused. She had an instinctive fear and resistance towards this family. Suddenly, the phone rang, pulling Shara back to reality. "Hey, are you Miss Shara?" "Yes, I am." "Who are you?" "You called me this morning, did you forget?" "Are you Mr. Punkat?" "Yes, when can we meet?" "The sooner the better," Shayla said impatiently. "Okay, where shall we meet?" "If it's convenient for you, come to my house." Half an hour later, a car stopped in front of Shara's house. Shara stood at the door, watching the people alighting from the car. "Are you Mr. Punkat?" "Yes, are you Miss Shara?" "Yes, let's get straight to the point." Shara nodded. Punkat nodded and followed Shara into the house. "I bought this house a month ago," Shara said. Siala said, "But ever since I moved in, I feel that something is wrong. I often have hallucinations, and I can't sleep well at night. My mental state is getting worse and worse, and I even have hallucinations. Just today, I almost ran onto the road because of my hallucinations and was hit by a speeding car." "Have you seen a psychiatrist?" Punkat asked, frowning. As an experienced spiritualist, Punkat had handled many supernatural cases. Many of them were actually due to the client's mental problems. "I've already." The psychiatrist said that I'm under too much pressure from work and suggested that I take a few days off. I accepted her suggestion, but in the few days I've been resting at home, my mental state has gotten worse and worse, especially in this house. I keep feeling a bit. As Shara spoke, she subconsciously looked around. "I keep feeling like something is watching me." The more Shara spoke, the more frightened she became. Punkat nodded and stood up. But for the time being, he didn't find anything special about the house. Of course, this didn't mean that there was nothing wrong with the house. "Can I walk around the house?" "Of course, no problem. I hope you can help me solve the problem." "I'll try my best." Punkat nodded and got up to walk around the house. Siala, on the other hand, was following Punkat. "Did you investigate the background of this house before you bought it?" "The house agent sold me the house. I didn't see the seller." "The seller left the house in the hands of the agent," Shara said. Punkat walked around every room in the house and didn't find anything wrong. "Miss Shara, I didn't find anything unclean in this house." "Punkat, I'm not lying. Please believe me. I'm not saying that you're lying. There are many reasons for supernatural incidents. It might not be the house itself," Punkat said. "Wait a minute, let me get a tool." Punkat took out a palm-sized compass from his bag. The moment Punkat pointed the compass at Shara, the needle of the compass immediately jumped and became very unstable. Punkat raised his eyebrows. Shara had indeed encountered a supernatural incident. And from the reaction of the compass needle, the supernatural incident that Shara had encountered was of a high level. "Miss Shara, have you encountered similar incidents in your past life?" Punkat asked. Some people were spiritualists, so it was normal for them to encounter such incidents. Others had a spiritual physique, so it was easy for them to provoke such things. "No." Shara shook her head. However, Punkat checked the house. There should be no problem with the house, and the compass was reacting to Shara, which meant that Shara had encountered a problem. "Then, did you get anything strange? Like ancient coins, paintings, mirrors, or something like that?" "After I moved, I bought a lot of things." "I'm not sure if there's anything you're talking about," Shara said. "Looks like I'll have to check it again." Punkat took the compass and walked around the house again. Suddenly, when the compass in Punkat's hand was aimed at Shara's dresser, the needle jumped again. Was there a problem with the dresser? Punkat turned to look at Shara. "Where did you get this dresser?" "I bought it from the supermarket. It's brand new." Is there a problem? Chapter 1442. Bought from a supermarket. Then it shouldn't be a problem with the dresser. If it was an antique found in a second-hand store, it was very possible. Many of the supernatural incidents that Pancat received were because the employer found something strange in a second-hand store, and then the supernatural incidents happened. That was something placed on the dresser. It had to be said that any woman's dresser would have a lot of cosmetics. It wasn't easy to find something unusual among so many cosmetics. Finally, Pancat discovered that among the cosmetics, there was a wooden comb that did not fit in with the rest of the cosmetics. When Pancat picked up the wooden comb, he immediately felt a strange aura. The needle of the compass in his hand was also jumping wildly. Sure enough, there's something wrong with this comb. Pancat looked at Shara. Where did you get this comb? I bought it from a handicraft shop, Shara said. What kind of handicraft shop? Pancat asked. It's on Downey Street, 558. Pancat continued. Ha! Mr. Pancat, do you know that shop? Pancat was even more puzzled. How did you find that shop? What do you mean how? I just went shopping and saw that shop, so I went in to take a look. It's hard to imagine that such a special shop would exist in such a busy area. Is there something wrong with that shop? That shop belongs to a spiritualist. Only a spiritualist like me can find that place. But you don't have any magic on you, so it's impossible for you to find that shop. 558 Downey Street is very famous among spiritualists. But I found it. That's the strange part. Pancat looked at the wooden comb in his hand. How much is this comb? $300. Pancat looked at Shara. She's really rich. Even as a spiritualist, I can't spend $300 on a magic comb. However, 558 Downey Street shouldn't sell items that brought bad luck. Pancat's heart skipped a beat and he suddenly understood. It wasn't that the people in that shop deliberately sold items that brought bad luck. It was because the magic item itself had magic, which attracted unclean things. If the buyer was a spiritualist, of course, this wouldn't be a problem. After all, no evil spirit would take the initiative to find trouble with a spiritualist. But Xiaola was just an ordinary person, which became the biggest problem. Pancat examined Shayla a few times and confirmed that she was indeed an ordinary person without any magic. That was strange. It was impossible for an ordinary person without magic power to see 558 Downey Street. After all, that shop had a long history, and no ordinary person had ever been able to find it. Of course, as long as he could enter the store, the people inside wouldn't reject him. This wooden comb was a magic tool, but it was not the cause of the supernatural incident. The wooden comb itself would not harm its owner. However, the thing that was attracted by the wooden comb obviously harbored ill intentions towards Xiaola. Even if he destroyed the wooden comb, it would not solve the problem. If he wanted to solve the problem, he still needed to get rid of the thing that was harassing Xiaola. Miss Xiaola, if it's convenient, I might need to stay here tonight. Pancat looked at Xiaola. Shara hesitated for a moment. After all, she was a man and a woman in the same room, and the other party was not an acquaintance, so it was inevitable that she would be in a difficult position. However, Shara really did not dare to stay at home alone. If there was someone with her, she would feel more at ease. Mr. Pancat, you can solve my problem, right? Don't worry. I'll protect you. Feilai, where are little Jerlin and Larissa? When Qinzhao returned, he saw Feilai lying on the chair with a mask on her face. Chen, you're back just in time. Help me apply sunscreen, Feilai said. There's still too much sunlight by the sea. Chen, do you have any whitening products? Feilai asked. Actually, Phalai was not pale at all in the past. After all, she was a member of the coastal rescue team. How could she be pale? However, ever since she got pregnant, she rarely went out. The 10 months of pregnancy had whitened her skin a lot. Now, she did not want to tan anymore. "I'll make some tonight," Chen Zhao said. "Your 2 daughters are at the beach below," Phalai said. Although she was sunbathing on the chair, she could still see the entire beach. There were also many pets on the beach. Jerlin and Larissa would not be in danger. In the sea, the 5 tiger generals were the gangsters of this coastline. Apart from the 5 of them, there were no other sharks wandering around. The only things that could threaten the 2 children on this beach were poisonous creatures like sea snakes and conchs. However, they always had antivenoms at home. Also, Walter, Black Maw, and White Maw often patrolled the beach. Their sense of smell could distinguish conchs. However, they did not appear often in Los Angeles. Injuries only happened once every decade. Chen Zhao could not stop his 2 daughters from playing on the beach because of this. As for sea snakes, they were easier to find, so they were not much of a threat. Little Larissa could already move on the beach with her limbs. At the moment, she was sitting on the beach. Beside her was a small bucket filled with seashells. Little Jerlin was carrying a small giant clam's shell as she ran towards little Larissa with a face full of joy. "Little Larissa, look, isn't it big? Hee hee. Yeah. Little Larissa laughed happily and clapped her hands with all her might. Only in the evening did little Jerlin and Larissa reluctantly be carried back to the villa by Black Maw and White Maw. "Dad, Mom, we haven't had dinner yet. Why can't you let us play for a while?" Little Jerlin crossed her arms in front of her chest, looking unhappy. However, her arms were not long enough. Because she was hung in the air by Black Maw, she looked funny. "There's chicken soup tonight. If you don't come back soon, Princess will drink it all." The so-called chicken soup was stewed with undying birds. There was no such thing as confinement overseas, but Chen Zhao still wanted to help Phalai recover. However, Phalai could only drink 2 bowls of chicken soup at most. The rest would be taken by the 2 kids and their pets. Little Jerlin aside, little Larissa also knew how to drink chicken soup, and she liked it very much. Chen Zhao was now considering if he should go underground again. He wanted to see if he could hunt more undying birds. After all, the last one was almost finished. Chapter 1443. Chen Zhao decided to organize an underground expedition. He would find the participants from the association. It would be a test. He would also see if he could catch another immortal bird. Of course, Chen Zhao didn't have high hopes for this. After all, even if he could find one, it would be very deep underground. Other than Gaia, no one else could withstand that kind of temperature. Also, Gaia was immune to fire, but that didn't mean she could withstand endless heat. In fact, Gaia's heat resistance wasn't even as high as Chen Zhao's. "Hey, West, tell the people in the association that we'll be training on temperature resistance. I plan to organize a group activity, an underground exploration. Those who don't have any resistance to temperature don't need to participate. At the same time, get Padaluv and Jolik to study heat-resistant suits." Ever since the gale, Los Angeles had been too quiet. Even some of the commissions were half compared to usual. The association was very free, so Chen Zhao wanted to use this opportunity to give them something to do. Of course, giving them something to do wasn't asking them to die. Chen Zhao couldn't let a bunch of weaklings go deep underground. However, West didn't know if he misunderstood Chen Zhao's meaning. He called the underground expedition an underground treasure hunt. Then, everyone's enthusiasm soared. Including Klaus and the lightning team, they all started training for heat resistance. All of them belonged to the physical strengthening category. Therefore, their heat resistance was also very high. Plus, they weren't going to crawl into a hole half-naked. When the time came, he would definitely have to wear protective clothing and cast protective spells. Of course, Chen Zhao didn't know that his sudden idea had caused the entire association to boil. "President, you're targeting me this time, right?" Helis called Chen Zhao, her voice filled with dissatisfaction. "What? How am I targeting you? You know that I can't stand heat and you still want to go underground to search for treasure." Helis wanted to go. No matter how aloof and unapproachable she usually was, she was still a young girl. Actually, on normal days, if there were any activities in the association, or if anyone needed help, Helis would help them. She was a warm-hearted girl, but even Chen Zhao couldn't help but feel that Helis was a bit antisocial. "Wait, treasure hunt. What treasure hunt? You don't have to hide it. Mr. West told me everything." "What did West say? When did I say I was going on a treasure hunt?" Chen Zhao was speechless. What would happen then? If they said there were no treasures now, it would be too much of a blow to their enthusiasm. "Forget it, I'll just hide it for now." At that time, he would just say that they were not strong enough to enter the depths. That would be great. Punkat heard a scream coming from Shayla's room. Punkat immediately jumped up and rushed into Shayla's bedroom. "Miss Shara, what's wrong?" Punkat hastily hugged Xiaola, who was scratching her messy hair, and patted her back to soothe her. At this moment, Punkat suddenly felt that Xiaola's strength seemed to have increased a little. She hugged herself a little too tightly. "Miss Xiaola. Miss Xiaola." Suddenly, Panka realized the problem. Suddenly, Pankat's palm was covered in a layer of silver radiance as he chanted an incantation. A heavy slap landed on Shayla's back. This scream was definitely not something a woman could make. Pankat broke free from the passionate hug and saw a pitch-black spirit crawl out of Xiaola's body. Evil spirit of burning fire. Pankat's expression changed slightly. Evil spirits of burning fire were evil spirits formed by people who had been burned to death by flames. There were many types of evil spirits. Among them, those killed by the four elements were the most difficult to deal with. Of course, their numbers were also the rarest. The four elements of water, fire, earth, and wind, under most circumstances, would directly wipe out a person's soul when they killed them. Therefore, there were very few who could retain their soul, and even fewer who could become evil spirits. The evil spirit of burning fire was like charcoal. Its spirit body was covered in cracks, and there was a faint glow of fire under the cracks. The evil spirit of burning fire suddenly pounced at Pankat. Pankat hurriedly raised his fist and punched the evil spirit's face, causing a splash of ashes and ashes. The evil spirit of burning fire screamed again. It landed on the wall and its body melted into it. However, a patch of black immediately appeared on the wall. As the evil spirit of burning fire moved inside the wall, the blackness on the wall kept spreading. A moment later, the entire wall turned black. However, the evil spirit of burning fire did not continue to attack Pankat. The blackness spread out of the bedroom and disappeared. Pankat. "Mr. Pankat, just now, what was that? Did you see it?" Pankat asked. "On the wall, the blackness on the wall can move," Xiaola said with a pale face. Pankat thought that Xiaola had seen the evil spirit of burning fire, but it turned out that she had seen the path of the evil spirit of burning fire spreading inside the wall. Although it was his first time seeing the evil spirit of burning fire, he had read some records about it in magic books. The evil spirit of burning fire was an evil spirit that was formed after being burned to death. It would attach itself to a dead object and leave behind traces of ashes. If it attached itself to a living thing, the soul of the living thing would slowly be burned away, and eventually dissipate like charcoal. However, the evil spirit of burning fire was an earthbound spirit. It would not move around and would only guard the place where it died. In other words, this evil spirit of burning fire had originally died here. However, he had checked the entire house today and did not find the existence of an evil spirit. So where did this evil spirit of burning fire come from? Mr. Pancat, what's the situation now? The situation is a bit tricky, Pancat said. How is it tricky? The evil spirit just now was very powerful and very troublesome. Can't you do anything? If it was an ordinary evil spirit, I could still do something, but this kind of evil spirit, I can only ask my teacher for help. Your teacher? You have a teacher. Of course, I'm a spiritualist, of course I have a teacher, Pancat said matter-of-factly. But before that, let's leave this house first, Pancat said matter-of-factly. Pancat felt that something was wrong. Xiala had said that she had been disturbed by illusions before. However, the evil spirit of burning fire did not seem to have the ability to use illusions on the living. The evil spirit of burning fire was an evil spirit with astonishing destructive power, and it was cruel and crazy. They did not like to beat around the bush, and they were very straightforward when it came to killing and arson. However, the evil spirit of burning fire in the house really did not make people feel safe. They should leave this place first. Chapter 1444. Early the next morning, Pancat and Shara went straight to Pankat's teacher's house. Mr. Sean, are you there? Pancat stood in front of his teacher's house and shouted. Shara looked at the building in front of her. Does your teacher live in a place like this? Yes, is there a problem? Don't you think this house is too old? The life of a spiritualist isn't as good as you think, Pancat said. Pancat still had his main job. Exorcism was only his side job. However, most of the older generation of spiritualists treated exorcism as their main job. However, for spiritualists, unless they were famous spiritualists who had appeared on TV, there were very few who could earn a lot of money. Occasionally, they would meet a big client and be lucky enough to make tens of thousands of dollars. Most of the time, however, they only made a few $1,000s or less. Is your teacher very powerful? Shara asked. More powerful than me, Pancat said. And he solved the same problem as you in the past. Just then, the door opened. When Pancat saw Sean open the door, he was stunned. Pancat, why are you looking for me so early in the morning? What are you waiting for? You. Mr. Sean. What's the matter? Sean looked at Pancat impatiently. Punkart stared blankly at Sean. Sean was less than 40 years old this year. Usually, Sean wore an old and outdated black suit. But today, Sean was dressed neatly and had even changed into a brand new suit. Moreover, the messy beard on his face had been shaved clean. This made Punkart think that he had mistaken Sean for someone else. The current Shaoan was a far cry from his impression of his teacher. Teacher, are you going out? No, I'm just going to class, Sean said. Class? What class? At Nosilla Church. Is it a class from the church? No, it's a magic training course organized by the Supernatural Organization. It's a public course, Sean said. What supernatural organization? Why don't I know anything about it? Is it a newly formed supernatural organization? Idiot, they've been around longer than you, but they usually keep a low profile. Sean rolled his eyes. And everyone in the organization is very powerful. No matter how powerful I am, can I be more powerful than you, teacher? I'm nothing in their eyes. Shaoan rolled his eyes. Alright, do you want to attend the class together? Can I go too? That's an open class. Xiaola looked at the conversation between the teacher and student, who seemed to have forgotten about her. She immediately pulled Punkat. Is this your girlfriend? She's pretty, what's her name? No, teacher, this is my client. Her name is Shayla. We are here to seek your help. Asking for my help. A burning fire evil spirit has appeared in Miss Xiao Ala's house. I can't solve it, so I can only ask for your help, teacher. I see. Sean nodded. How much is the reward? $20,000. I want half. Sure. Pang Cat nodded. In any case, Sean would be the main force, and he would be the assistant. He had no objections to this arrangement. Let's go to the class first. I don't want to miss this public class, Xiaoen said. Teacher, do you come to this class every day? No, it's only one class a month, so I can't miss it. Then can I go? Shayla asked. Of course, Xiaoen said. Let's go. Nosilla Church isn't far from here. Teacher, will we be chased out by the supernatural organization if we dress so casually? I don't have any requirements for clothes. Then why are you dressed so formally? I want to leave a good impression. If there's a chance in the future, I might be able to become a member. When the three of them arrived at Nosilla Church, they found that there were already more than 20 people there. Pang Cat recognized some of them. They were all spiritualists. A few more people came one after another, and there were about 30 people in the church listening to the lecture. After a while, the people from the supernatural organization finally arrived. Xiaola saw that the person on the stage was actually a young girl. From her appearance, he couldn't tell if she was over 20 years old. That's the supernatural organization? Shayla whispered. She looks very young. Shayla wasn't the only one who had doubts. Many people in the church had the same question. Jolanash stood on the makeshift podium and held a microphone. Hello, everyone. I'm a member of the supernatural organization, Jolanash. At the same time, she raised her right hand with her back facing the crowd. Maybe some of you have doubts about my power. This golden ring should be enough to explain it. A few people in the church exclaimed in surprise, but more people did not know what was going on. Mr. Xiaoen, what's the meaning of the golden ring on the girl's hand? Shayla asked. Does it mean she's married? Pang Cat teased. Even he thought it was a joke. That's one of the supernatural organization's magic power levels, Xiaoen said solemnly. Oh, then is the gold a symbol of a certain level? Pang Cat's tone was still frivolous. Yes, it's the symbol of the highest level. Then the organization's levels must not be strict. A little girl actually got the highest level. Previously, Magic Shell went to do the magic power level assessment. She got a blue ring. She's only ranked second. What? How is that possible? Magic Shell is such a powerful spiritualist. Does the supernatural organization's magic power level only have high, middle, and low levels? No, there are 5 levels, Xiaoen said. Does their magic power level assessment have any authority? Back then, Magic Shell also questioned it. He even used his past achievements as proof and asked the supernatural organization to give him a higher level. Of course, the supernatural organization wasn't happy, so Magic Shell fought them and was thrown out. He was surrounded by the supernatural organization? No, Magic Shell said he was thrown out by a girl in black. Magic Shell has a lot of battle experience. How could he lose? Magic Shell said it himself. He said that the girl who stopped him seemed to be an extremely rare necromancer. That girl only used 10 seconds to defeat him. Please remember this book's domain name. Mobile version. Chapter 1445. In an instant, the entire church fell silent. Shara was surprised to find that she couldn't make a sound. It wasn't just her. Sean and Punkat beside her couldn't make a sound either. At this time, Jolanash, who was on the podium, spoke. "All right, I hope everyone can be quiet. After all, I don't want to waste time here." Jolanash didn't want to give these spiritualists any lessons. It was a complete waste of time. She might as well go back and study a spell. One morning was enough for her to study a small spell. Jolanash then removed the silence spell. Although the silence spell wasn't an elemental spell, but a spiritual spell, Jolanash still studied it. It was mainly used to deal with spiritualists who were large in number and slightly weaker. For example, most of the spiritualists in front of her needed to use incantations to cast spells. Once they were hit by the silence spell, they wouldn't be able to cast spells. However, they were really weak. Most of them only had rank E magic power. There was only one person present who was ranked D. Jolanash removed the silence spell. There was a small buzz from below. Some people couldn't help but discuss it. However, this didn't affect Jolanash's speech. "Mr. Punkat, Mr. Sean, what happened just now? Why can't I make a sound?" Shara couldn't help but ask in a low voice. Silence spell. Simply put, it's a spell that prevents you from making a sound. Punkat's understanding of the silence spell was limited to this. But this girl is really scary. There were more than 30 spiritualists here, but she actually muted us all. A level 70 main character using an area of effect skill and hitting dozens of level 10 newbies within a range wasn't really anything to be proud of. However, for these newbies who thought that there were only level 10 or level 20 characters in this world, suddenly encountering one, it was only natural for a main account of this level to be shocked. After all, most of the people they encountered were at the same level as them, or just slightly stronger. Jolanash appeared quite confident on the podium. She didn't just talk about magic, but also exorcism and exorcism. After all, she was talking to a bunch of newbies. Jolanash was qualified to be their teacher. Whether it was in terms of strength or experience. These people weren't just low-leveled. They had never been to high-level maps, let alone encountered high-level monsters. Punkat and Sean were listening with great interest. To them, Jolanash's lecture was like a holy scripture. Every content was enlightening, allowing them to see the light. "Miss Jolanash, do the monsters you speak of really exist?" "I don't think a fused spirit is a monster. I believe at least a quarter of you have seen one before. Of course, the fused spirit you've seen shouldn't be too strong. I bet it has only devoured a dozen of its kind," Jolanash said. "So you have, Miss Jolanash. I've seen stronger gathered spirits, but even I don't have the confidence to deal with those twisted monsters." Jolanash said, "Also, if you encounter something like this, you must destroy it, so I can't show you. But there's a lady with me today. She should be the strongest spirit. If you're interested, I can ask her to give you a lesson." Everyone below had disapproving looks on their faces. Spiritual body. They had indeed seen powerful spirit bodies before, and some of them had also seen or heard of aggregated spirits. In their eyes, the converged spirit was already the most powerful and terrifying spirit body. But now, Jolanash said that a spirit had come with her. Since they were able to walk with her, they were either spirit bodies that she summoned or spirit bodies that were content with their lot. How scary was a spirit like that? "Then Miss Jolanash, please open our eyes." Jolanash's lips curled up. She had been waiting for these people to say that. "Miss Pamela, it's time for you to go." A chill spread into the church, and everyone couldn't help but shiver. It's so cold. It's a shiver from the soul. Sean's expression became serious. Is it a frost demon? Pan-Cat asked in surprise. At this moment, a spirit body descended from the old and cracked ceiling. Only Shayla, who was an ordinary person, couldn't see it. Everyone else saw Pamela's arrival. What kind of spirit is that? I've never seen it before. Is it an evil spirit formed from a frozen person? Miss Jollinash, do you want us to fight this spirit? A spiritualist asked. We can go to the empty space outside. Then what if we accidentally hurt, or kill this lady? After all, spirits are weak. This spiritualist was clearly very confident in his abilities. Of course, there was a hint of malice in his tone. He had been unwilling to be muted by a little girl like Jollinash. But he had to admit that Jollinash was strong. He didn't think he could beat her. But he felt that this spirit was easy to bully. At least, that was what he thought. If he couldn't beat Jollinash herself, then he would get back at her contract spirit. He didn't know that Pamela wasn't Jollinash's contract spirit. It wouldn't even be an exaggeration for Jollinash to call Pamela teacher. After all, Jollinash had learned the muting spell from Pamela. And Pamela wasn't a spirit body, at least not now. She was a banshee. The only banshee in the world right now. Of course, after the second batch of 30 or so banshees finished their transformation, she wouldn't be alone anymore. Pamela floated to the empty space outside the church. The spiritualist stood before her. Miss Jollinash, is there anything I can pay attention to? If there's a need, I can retract the powerful spells to prevent serious injuries. Of course, the spiritualist wasn't that kind. He didn't plan on stopping. Even though he said that to Jollinash, he could also say that the spells he'd just used were normal spells. No, do whatever you want, Jollinash said coolly. Miss Pamela, please be careful too. Pamela had a faint smile. Of course, I understand. I'll be careful. Careful. They weren't here to kill, so they couldn't kill here. Even though they weren't very patient with these stupid and ignorant spiritualists, they still suppressed their impulses. Then I'll attack, that. Miss Pamela. Chapter 1446. This spiritualist was clearly very confident in his own abilities. Spirit ring. The spiritualist spun his finger and a ring of light appeared above Pamela's head. The ring of light descended, trapping him with all his might. The spiritualist's lips curved. This spirit ring couldn't be avoided. Moreover, it would even cause the spirit body to burn. Struggle. The more you struggled, the tighter the ring would be. Bang! Pamela spread her arms and broke the spirit ring. Everyone's eyeballs were about to fall out of their sockets. Was this even possible? It was formed by magic. For spirits, it was like putting a laser on a human's body. But Pamela broke the spirit ring directly. Pamela's face was calm. It's my turn, right? The spiritualist on the other side instantly exploded. Danger! 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 It was an unprecedented sense of danger. Although most spiritualists weren't prophetic, there were quite a number of spiritualists who had the ability to predict danger. It was created when their magic awakened. Pamela pointed with her finger, and a wave of cold air exploded. Even though they weren't facing Pamela, the surrounding spiritualists still felt the bone-chilling coldness. The spiritualist facing Pamela had cast a defensive spell on himself, but he was instantly frozen into a block of ice. What? Someone died. Damn, the evil spirit from the supernatural organization killed someone. That's too much. Jollinash's face twitched. She walked to Pamela. Lady Pamela, did you kill him? No, Pamela said calmly. I just froze his soul. He's not dead. He's not dead. I can't feel his aura or magic at all. Is he really not dead? The other spiritualists were suspicious. After all, he had been frozen into a lump of ice. How could he still be alive? Who were they kidding? He'll be fine after a few hours in the sun, Pamela said. On the other hand, Xiaola had been watching the entire battle. But she only saw the spiritualist's one-man show. She couldn't see Pamela. However, she still saw the spiritualist frozen into an ice cube. What happened? Shara asked in a low voice. Punkat briefly recounted what had happened just now. That spirit is terrifying, Punkat gulped. It's even more terrifying than the evil spirit of scorching fire. They aren't even on the same level. Sean said, if that Lady Pamela really makes a move, I'm afraid none of us here will survive. That's scary. Is this spirit a contract evil spirit of someone from the supernatural organization? Everyone's fear and curiosity towards the supernatural organization increased. Miss Jolinash, Lady Pamela, may I ask if you know anything about the evil spirit of fire? Sean asked. He had fought against the burning fire evil spirit a few years ago, but it was more or less luck that he was able to destroy the burning fire evil spirit. On one hand, they had made ample preparations. When the evil spirit of the burning flame was unconscious, they had 2 helpers, which was why they were able to successfully destroy the evil spirit of the burning flame. But this time, Pang Carter had invited him, so he didn't have much confidence. So he wanted to see if Jolene Nash and Pamela had something special to say. Evil spirit of scorching fire. Jolene didn't have much experience with spirits. She was an elemental witch, so she was better at high-level battles. Of course, this didn't mean that she didn't know how to deal with evil spirits. It was just that when she dealt with evil spirits, she would use her ultimate skills to kill them instantly. There are a few evil spirits of scorching fire in the evil spirit organization, Pamela mumbled. What? Sean didn't hear clearly. Nothing. It's not hard to deal with the evil spirit of scorching fire with water spells. What if they don't know water spells? Sean asked. China's Taoist charms are very effective against evil spirits of scorching fire. There are many Taoist charms for sale at 558 Downey Street. I recommend the charms from the Maoshan sect or Dragon Tiger Mountain sect. As for charms from other unknown sects, the quality and effects might not be as good as expected, Pamela said. Among them, the Clear Water Charm and Demon Suppression Charm are the best choices, but these 2 charms are expensive and require a lot of magic power to activate. Based on your magic power level, you can only activate 2 charms at most. If you miss, you'll be in danger. Of course, there are also the Breaking Thunder Charm and the 9 Pure Heart Charm. These charms are also quite effective. The price is moderate, and they don't use a lot of magic power. They're the most cost-effective. There are also some. Pamela's explanation was very detailed, but the method she talked about was using external forces to get rid of the evil spirit of scorching fire instead of using one's own power. If this spiritualist really had the power to get rid of the evil spirit, he wouldn't have asked her this question. Also, Pamela couldn't teach him magic here. Pamela didn't know what magic he was or how much combat experience he had. So Pamela could only tell him the most appropriate method. While Pamela was explaining, many spiritualists were taking notes. Lady Pamela, I have a mission recently and encountered a corpse dog. I major in elemental thunder magic, but I can only use the most basic spells. Is there a safer way to get rid of this corpse dog? The biggest threat of the corpse dog is its mutated body. It's close to the strength of a lion or tiger, and it has a disease-causing corpse poison. At the same time, it's immune to voodoo and curses, as well as high resistance to spirits and fire. So it's very difficult for you to fight a corpse dog with your current power. But it's not absolute. The nature of a corpse dog is actually similar to that of a dog. After all, they were dogs when they were alive, so you can try to get rid of them with some traps. Also, remember to bring some glutinous rice. If you're scratched or bitten by a corpse dog, you can use the glutinous rice to detoxify and suppress the effects of the corpse poison. If the poison is too deep, you'll need the church's holy water or holy light magic to purify you. Just then, the others started to check their temperatures. Some asked Pamela, and some asked Jolanash. There were all kinds of questions, and the two of them tried their best to answer them. "That's amazing," Sean said in shock. "They seem to have encountered many scary things that we've heard about before, and they all know how to deal with them." The supernatural organization in Los Angeles was the organization, so most of the supernatural incidents in Los Angeles and the surrounding areas were handled by them. Many incidents were reported to them directly by the government. And most of the incidents reported to them by the government were dangerous supernatural incidents. It was completely different from the commissions ordinary people received. Naturally, the supernatural organization had a lot more experience. Missions that seemed difficult to ordinary people were just normal to the supernatural organization. Chapter 1447. The morning classes were over. Pan-Cat and Xiao-En were reluctant to leave. They'd learned a lot of things, including some monsters they'd only heard of in legends. But Jolanash and Pamela could explain how to deal with them. Of course, some monsters couldn't be defeated just because they knew how to deal with them. Jolanash and Pamela could only provide them with a possibility and a plan. They weren't guaranteed to win. And because they were in different positions, they saw things differently. With their strength, no matter how meticulous they were, it was something that only they could do. Others might not be able to do it. Pan-Cat and Xiao-En left with Shara. Then Pan-Cat began to explain the situation to Xiao-En. "Are you sure that house hasn't been on fire before?" Xiao-En asked, confused. "That house should have been built a long time ago," Shara said. "There shouldn't have been a fire in the last 20 years. When I bought it, the contract didn't say that the house had been on fire before. America's real estate sales were relatively strict. At least, the laws in this area were more complete. When a house was sold, the contract would state the construction of the house, the use of the land, when the house was built, how many times it had been repaired, and whether it had been attacked by fire or water. Once the buyer found out about something wrong with the house, the buyer could ask the agent or the seller for a refund unconditionally. Shara's new house had been bought from an agent, and as the agent, it was impossible for them not to investigate. Shara also trusted the agent when she bought the house. After all, it was a relatively well-known company. That was why she didn't suspect anything. After all, the agent was the most concerned about the use of the house. If something went wrong, they'd be the ones with the biggest headache. So it was impossible for Shara not to know that someone had been burned in the house. Also, the evil spirit of burning fire can't control people, nor can it use illusions on the living. Is there a second evil spirit in that house? Pan-Cat wondered. He'd had his suspicions before, and now Xiao-En had the same suspicions. Is it possible that the evil spirit of burning fire was controlled by someone? Xiao-En raised a new point of view. The evil spirit of burning fire had either died in the house, but from what Shara said, it didn't seem like the house had burned anyone. Then it was possible that someone had controlled the evil spirit of burning fire and deliberately placed it in the house. If that was the case, then it would be even more troublesome. After all, if a spiritualist had really placed the scorching fire evil spirit in that house, then not only would they have to deal with the scorching fire evil spirit, but they would also have to deal with an unknown spiritualist. There was one more thing that puzzled Pan-Cat and Sean. Why would Shara enter 558 Downey Street? It was impossible for ordinary people to find that place. Unless a spiritualist brought her in, but Shara had said that she had found 558 Downing Street by herself while shopping. This ruled out the possibility of someone bringing her in. Furthermore, both of them confirmed that Shara was indeed an ordinary person and not a witch. In this world, there was no such thing as coincidence, finding a certain mysterious area, or being blessed by the heavens with outstanding talent. 0 was 0, and 1 was 1. There was no ambiguity in it. While it's still early, let's go to 558 Downing Street. What they wanted to confirm now was whether Shala could really find 558 Downing Street. The three of them drove to Downing Street and let Shara walk in front. Miss Shara, please lead the way. Find 558 Downing Street. When Shara heard the two say that ordinary people couldn't find 558 Downing Street, she didn't really believe it. Because she had found it and even bought something. She had a good memory, and she could recognize the numbers of all the shops. She didn't believe that she would go the wrong way this time. But that was the truth. When she searched for 558 Downing Street again, she realized that she couldn't find the number no matter how hard she tried. Damn, what went wrong? Shara walked back and forth on Downing Street 3 or 4 times, but still couldn't find it. She couldn't find it. How was that possible? Did the shop move away? Shara asked, confused. No, it's still there. Pancat shook his head. Just then, Shara suddenly saw a few familiar figures. Wasn't that Qin Zhao, Fei Lai, and their 2 children? It seemed that they were also shopping here. Hi, Mr. Chen, Miss Fei Lai. Qin Zhao looked up and saw Shara. Then he looked at Pancat and Xiao An behind her. There seemed to be magic waves on them, but they weren't strong. Miss Shara, are you in trouble? They're my friends. Real friends. Qin Zhao hugged Jerlin, but he still looked at Pancat and Xiao An warily. He thought that the two had threatened Shara and wanted to do something to her. Shara was forced to tell the truth. Real friends. Shara understood what Qin Zhao was trying to say. Shara, why don't you come to my house? Qin Zhao and I moved. Thank you for saving me from more pain last time. I haven't had the chance to thank you properly, Fei Lai said. I still have something to do. Shara turned her head hesitantly and looked at Pancat and Xiao En. Miss Fei Lai, why don't you go stay at a friend's house for a few days? Pancat asked. We'll take care of the rest. Call me. Is that okay? No problem. Don't worry. Mr. Chen, Miss Fei Lai, is it convenient for me to stay there for a few days? No problem. You can stay as long as you want. Aunt Shara, Jerlin's birthday is coming up. Can you wait for Jerlin's birthday party before you leave? Jerlin looked at Shara with watery eyes. Jerlin, when's your birthday? Shara liked Jerlin the moment she saw her. She wanted to give birth to such a cute princess in the future. Qin Zhao was relieved that she wasn't being threatened. It seemed that he'd thought too much. If she was being threatened, Shara wouldn't be walking on the street like this. Shara followed Qin Zhao's family to Mingyue Villa. Shara already knew that Qin Zhao was rich. After all, Qin Zhao had paid her $200,000 for less than 48 hours of work. However, when she saw Mingyue Villa and Mingyue Beach, as well as the yacht parked at the pier, she was still shocked. Mingyue Villa was too beautiful and its scale was beyond her imagination. Please remember the original domain name of this book, mobile version. Chapter 1448. She'd thought that Mirror Lake Villa was good enough. When Mirror Lake Villa had been destroyed by the witch's tropical storm, Shara had felt it was a pity. However, her imagination had been limited by poverty. Living here was really a top-notch enjoyment. It wasn't physical. For a normal person, 3 meals a day and a bed were enough to satisfy a person's physical needs. What she truly enjoyed was mental. Walking to the courtyard, she could see the surging waves. She only needed to take the elevator to the beach. Sunlight, sand, and waves all belonged to her family. Shara held a goblet of red wine and leaned against the railing with Phalai. They enjoyed the wine and chatted. Shara had never tasted such delicious red wine before. She hadn't heard of the nameless wine, but she knew that it was definitely expensive. In the shallow waters, Shara saw Chen Zhao with little Jerlin and Larissa. Jerlin could swim, but she wasn't completely used to the waves. Seawater was more buoyant than fresh water, but because of the changing tides, the waves were uneven, so little Jerlin would still choke. Of course, she still swam with all her might. Chen Zhao stood beside Jerlin and didn't interfere with her practice. Larissa's belly was being dragged by Chen Zhao. Her limbs were paddling randomly in the water. However, she clearly hadn't mastered swimming yet. In this aspect, little Larissa couldn't compare to little Jerlin. Back then, Chen Zhao hadn't taught little Jerlin at all. It was as if she was born to swim. Larissa, on the other hand, couldn't. As soon as Chen Zhao let go, she would sink. Of course, the environment in Mirror Lake was different from the waves. Larissa was like her sister. She also liked to play in the water. Dad, Dad. Look! Look! Jerlin suddenly cried out in excitement and pointed not far away. Chen Zhao looked in Jerlin's direction and saw a few bottlenose dolphins leaping into the waves ahead. There were 6 of them. 2 of them were bigger, around 2 meters long. 4 of them were young dolphins. This should be a small dolphin family. The 2 bigger dolphins were probably the children of the other 4. Most dolphins were very curious and friendly to humans. Killer whales belonged to the dolphin category, not the whales that everyone thought. Moreover, they had a very high IQ. People's impression of dolphins was that they were naughty and occasionally helped shipwreck victims. The dolphins had clearly noticed Chen Zhao and his 2 kids too. They immediately surrounded them. The 2 leading dolphins, the father and mother, let out childlike cries and swam toward Chen Zhao, little Jerlin, and little Larissa without any explanation. When it reached the 3, it slowed down. Chen Zhao didn't sense any malice, but he was still careful. However, Chen Zhao's worries were unnecessary. He could hear their voices saying, "Come on my back, come on my back." They kept repeating the same words. Little Jerlin, hold their dorsal fins. Just then, Chen Zhao grabbed a dolphin's dorsal fin and it started swimming towards the shore. Little Jerlin was also pulled to the shore by the dolphin. The dolphin father and mother had obviously misunderstood. They thought that Chen Zhao, little Jerlin, and little Larissa were refugees. Chen Zhao was touched. Inexplicably, he was moved by her words. The 4 little dolphins behind also followed their father and mother. Just then, Chen Zhao felt the 5 tiger generals approach. Chen Zhao's eyes hardened. He immediately sent a warning to the 5 tiger generals with Little World. Go away. Don't hurt this family. The 5 tiger generals didn't even have time to show themselves before they were chased away. Actually, they didn't plan to hurt the dolphin family. Their intelligence wasn't low now. They could tell good from bad. They just wanted to come and play with Chen Zhao. Fine, Chen Zhao had misunderstood them. But the dolphin family would inevitably be frightened. Chen Zhao didn't want to chase this kind family away. The father and mother sent Chen Zhao and little Jerlin to the beach directly. Then they moved their bodies with difficulty, trying to return to the sea. Just then, a wave came and pushed them a few more meters onto the beach. They seemed to be struggling. Chen Zhao immediately went up and pulled the father's tail, trying to pull it back into the sea. Little Jerlin also came up and helped pull the mother back into the sea. Chen Zhao smiled bitterly. He was carrying little Larissa, so he couldn't pull both of them at the same time. Little Jerlin clearly couldn't move. Chen Zhao secretly cast a spell and used countless threads to wrap around the mother's tail. Then, the mother and daughter pulled the father and mother back into the sea together. Just then, Fei Lai and Shira each came down with a bucket. Chen Zhao was stunned. Then he realized that their buckets were filled with fish. Chen, tell them to come back, Fei Lai called. Chen Zhao didn't leave when he saw the parents return to the sea. He walked to the shallow area and clapped his hands. Thank you for saving us. This is our gift. Shira's expression was strange. Could the dolphins understand? However, she did not expect that the dolphins would really come over. They weren't afraid at all and swam to Chen Zhao's side. Fei Lai and Shira came over too. Then they started taking the fish out of the buckets. The water was just right, not even up to Chen Zhao's waist. The dolphins wouldn't be stranded at this level. Little Jerlin also came over to help split the fish. Hee hee. Daddy, kiss me, kiss me, kiss me, what's a kiss? Did they name the dolphin so soon? Little Jerlin was playing with a little dolphin about 80 centimeters long. The little dolphin seemed to like Jerlin's hug too. Shira looked at the family with indescribable envy. After all, not everyone had such an experience. Suddenly, Shira saw a huge fin appear in the sea. Shira's expression changed drastically. Shark, shark. Run. Shark. The dolphin family was frightened too. They also noticed the shark's fin and hurriedly ran toward the beach. At the same time, they cried out as if to warn Chen Zhao's family. Old Guan was here. He was here to fight for Chen Zhao's favor. Shira realized that Chen Zhao's family didn't plan to run at all. Then she saw a great white shark rush into the shallow water. Its huge body made people's scalps go numb. It was too big. Frighteningly big. Its bloody mouth was less than 2 meters away from them. Chapter 1449. In Shira's eyes, the great white shark could swallow Jerlin whole with just a twist. But the shark didn't. Half of its body was stuck in the water, and its tail kept swinging. Chen Zhao also looked at Guan Laode in annoyance. You came here to fight for attention and got yourself stranded. Are you stupid? Chen Zhao threw a few fish into Guan Laoda's mouth. They weren't even enough to fill his teeth. Then he walked behind Guan Laode and dragged him back to the deep water. The dolphin family was still a little frightened. Shira was dumbfounded. That great white shark was their family's pet. You're not afraid of sharks? That's a great white shark, Shira asked. Why should we be afraid of sharks? Jerlin asked, confused. In her eyes, any family pet could be trusted. Why should they be afraid? I'm a beast tamer, Chen Zhao said casually. Shira really believed him. After all, great white sharks were infamous. If such an existence could be tamed, what else couldn't be tamed? Soon, the dolphin family swam over and started playing with Chen Zhao's family again. Soon, Jerlin could already ride on the dolphins and let them play with her. Under the night sky, Punkat and Sean entered Shira's house. The lights were off in the entire house. Both of them had rich experience in exorcism. Evil spirits usually liked to wander in the dark. If there was light in the house, they would actively hide or destroy the light source. Suddenly, the two heard movement. It came from Shira's bedroom. Coming. The two stood up at the same time. Cautiously arriving outside Shira's bedroom, Punkat gently pushed open the door. There was a woman sitting at the dresser. Miss Shira. Seeing the figure, Punkat subconsciously thought it was Shira. No. It's not Miss Shira. Sean shook his head. He was more rational now. Punkat also came back to his senses. Right, Shira had gone to a friend's house. Why would she be here? Isn't that an evil spirit of fire? As expected, there's more than one evil spirit of fire pestering Miss Shira, Punkat whispered. Punkat said in a low voice, then the one who created the illusion should be this evil spirit. The figure was slowly combing his long hair with a comb. Punkat held a handful of magic phosphor in his hand, while Sean took out a talisman. The charm was bought at 558 Downey Street today. This charm could be activated with just a little bit of magic power, and it had decent lethality. Sean gestured to Punkat and began the countdown. 3, 2, 1. The two of them rushed in at the same time. Punkat shouted loudly and scattered the magic phosphor in his hand. Crash! The magic phosphorescence burst into flames, but when the flames disappeared, so did the ghostly figure. Where's the evil spirit? Punkat asked curiously. He didn't believe that a handful of magic phosphor could destroy that evil spirit. At this time, Punkat noticed that a comb had appeared in Shaoan's hand. He was slowly combing his hair. Punkat's hair stood on end as he hurriedly retreated. At the same time, he quickly took out a handful of magic phosphor and sprayed it at Sean. Crash! Aw! Sean screamed in pain. Although magical phosphor was mainly used to attack spirits and cast some spells, it still had a certain lethality to humans. Teacher Sean. Punkat didn't see any spirit fly out of Sean's body, and the scream he heard just now was Sean's. Just as Punkat stepped forward to help Sean up, someone suddenly patted his shoulder. Punkat, what are you doing? Sean's voice came from behind. Punkat froze for a moment and turned around to find Sean standing behind him. He looked down and saw that Sean, who should have been accidentally injured by his magic phosphor, had disappeared. And Sean, who was standing behind him, was unharmed. Punkat immediately retreated and looked at Sean in horror. You, Punkat, what are you doing? Sean asked in confusion. Are you really Sean? Of course I am. What the hell are you doing? Punkat's eyes flickered. What was going on? Did he fall for an illusion? Or was Sean possessed by an evil spirit? It should be known that spiritualists would almost never be possessed. If a spiritualist was possessed by an evil spirit, the evil spirit would be extremely powerful. Furthermore, a spiritualist who was possessed by an evil spirit would become extremely terrifying. Suddenly, Sean saw that there was a comb in Punkat's hair. During the day, Punkat had told him that this comb had traces of magic on it. Sean saw that Punkat's expression was a little strange. Evil spirit, retreat. Sean immediately cast out a talisman. Punkat's expression was very strange. The talisman landed on Punkat's forehead. Punkat's body went limp and he fell to the ground. Sean heaved a sigh of relief. He walked over to Punkat and flipped him over. Suddenly, Sean saw a figure on the ground. He turned around and saw Punkat. Punkat was holding a baseball bat high in his hands. You. Sean looked back again and saw Punkat, who should have been killed by the talisman. Punkat's figure was nowhere to be seen. The talisman was stuck on the wall. Oh no. Duong. Punkat's baseball bat was already swinging at Sean's head. Sean covered his head and fell to the ground, but his consciousness was still very clear. Sean kicked Punkat's calf with both feet, causing Punkat to fall heavily to the ground. Punkat's head hit the ground and he immediately woke up. Sean. You. What happened to you? You hit me, bastard. Sean's face was pale. At this moment, his head and face were covered in blood. Me? I hit you. Pancat looked at Sean in surprise. No, you've been possessed by an evil spirit. No, you've been possessed by an evil spirit. I haven't, you've been possessed by an evil spirit. Impossible, my consciousness is very clear. You're the one who's been controlled. The two of them were blaming each other, but after arguing for a while, they realized that perhaps both of them had been blinded by an illusion, causing them to kill each other. Pankat's injuries were still fine, but Sean's head had been hit by the baseball bat. Call an ambulance. If we don't call an ambulance, I'll die, Sean said weakly. At this moment, Sean's injuries were very serious. Pancat picked up the phone and dialed the emergency number. Hee hee. But a strange laughter came from the phone. Pancat was startled and quickly threw the phone away. What's wrong? Damn it, the illusion still hasn't disappeared. Pankat's face was solemn. Sean's expression also changed slightly. No matter what appears in front of you, no matter what I become, don't make a move. Maybe we're still in an illusion. Chapter 1450. Damn it, where did I go wrong? Pankat's expression was grave. Sean also did not understand when he had fallen for the illusion. Both of them were at a loss. Illusions were not something that could be easily used, and it was even more impossible to trick the other party without them realizing it. The terrifying thing about illusions was that it was very difficult to distinguish between real and fake. It was like seeing a person brandishing a knife at you in an illusion. You knew that it was fake. But how could you completely ignore this kind of attack? Sean held his head and leaned against the corner in pain. Pancat suddenly saw a strange smile appear on Sean's face. Sean's body was fusing into the wall. Illusion. Illusion. This is an illusion. Pancat kept telling himself that it was an illusion. Do you still think that it's an illusion? My stupid disciple. Sean's smile suddenly became strange. I've wanted to kill you for a long time, but I never had the chance. Now, the chance has finally come. Kill me. Why? Pancat suddenly lost control of his emotions. Why? Because I'm your teacher, but you're even more outstanding than me. I hate people who are more outstanding than me, especially when they're my disciple. It's fake, it's fake. Pancat kept telling himself that in his heart, but his consciousness was becoming chaotic. At the same time, Sean, who had been leaning against the wall and panting, suddenly looked at Pancat with a strange expression on his face. That sinister and strange smile made his disciple feel strange and terrifying. Teacher, do you really think it's because I fell for an illusion? That's just an excuse. I deliberately attacked you and then blamed it on an illusion. A smile appeared on Pankat's face. Why? No, this is an illusion. Damn it. Sean immediately closed his eyes. Illusion. Do you really think that someone could cast an illusion on them without them knowing? Pancat sneered at Sean. Why did you do that? Because you've been hiding something from me. Every time you teach me magic, you'd *mn bastard. And every time I ask for your help, you always ask for a cut. You greedy bastard. This time, I finally don't have to give you a cut anymore, Pancat said with a smile. Sean hid his hands behind his back and quietly took out an enchanted dagger. Reason told Sean that this was all fake, all an illusion. However, Shaoan's thoughts were already in a state of chaos. It seemed as if Pancat really was going to kill him. Puncarter pounced at Sean, who pulled out his dagger and stabbed it into Puncarter's chest. Punket's eyes widened as he looked down at his own chest, then looked up at Sean in shock. Finally, Pankat's body slumped to the ground. Xiaoan stood up unsteadily, but in the next moment, he lost all his strength and fell to the ground. Suddenly, Pankart, who should have been dead, pulled out his dagger and purposely splashed his blood. Along with the blood, the last bit of his magic phosphor was also splattered. The moment the magic phosphor exploded, Pankat slashed the wooden comb on the dressing table with his dagger. The wooden comb was split in half. Everything had returned to its original calm. Pankat picked up the phone with much difficulty. Here. We need an ambulance here. Address. Address is, after all, his teacher was his teacher. He had found the reason so quickly. The moment Sean stabbed the dagger into Pankat, he told him the reason. It was all because of the wooden comb. It was also the most suspicious thing they had come into contact with today. It was not the work of an evil spirit, but the wooden comb was a magic tool. They had made a mistake when they investigated the wooden comb before. They had discovered that the wooden comb had the aura of magic, but there was no trace of an evil spirit, so they should have noticed it. The wooden comb would cause illusions to those who came into contact with it. There was no evil spirit in this house. The so-called burning evil spirit was just their imagination. When Sean stabbed the dagger into Punket's chest, he deliberately missed it and said something about the comb. Sean realized that there was something wrong with the comb, but he was trapped in an illusion at the time, so it was impossible for him to destroy the comb. Only by waking Pankat up from the illusion could they destroy the wooden comb. It had to be said that this was a very risky move. Fortunately, they succeeded. Sean, teacher, are you okay? Pankat sat on the ground with difficulty. Sean closed his eyes and lay on the ground. I'm fine, but I don't dare open my eyes. I'm afraid of falling into an illusion again. I've already destroyed the comb, Pankat said. What's the deal with this comb? The ringing of the phone woke Shara up. She looked at the time and saw that it was past 2 in the morning. Shara reluctantly picked up the phone. Hello, are you Miss Shara? Yes, I am. Do you know Pankat and Sean? I do. They are in the hospital now. Hospital? What happened? Xiaola was startled, and her drowsiness had receded quite a bit. They were in your house and then attacked each other. What's going on? That's what the police want to know. Where are you now? Do you have time to talk? I'm not in downtown Los Angeles. I'm afraid I'll have to wait until tomorrow to return to Los Angeles. Well, I hope you can come to the police station tomorrow. Shara's thoughts were a little chaotic. She vaguely sensed that it was likely that Pankat and Sean were hallucinating like her, and then they killed each other. The next day, Shara hurried to the police station and communicated with the police. Of course, it was just a simple statement. After all, she was not at the scene at the time, so there was no suspicion. In the statement, she claimed that she was only temporarily lending the house to Pankat and Sean for them to stay in her house. Although the police were puzzled by the fight between Pankat and Sean, they did not make things too difficult for Shara. Shara went to the hospital to see Pankat and Sean. Mr. Pankat, what's going on? We miscalculated. It's your comb. It's an evil magic tool. Pankat was very weak now because he had been stabbed in the chest. Although it did not hit a vital point, he had lost a lot of blood. Although he was saved, he was still very weak. Both Sean and I were under an illusion, and then we fought each other. That comb. I'm going to destroy that comb now. Mobile version. Chapter 1451. Then, Xiaola came to Shaoan's ward and he said the same thing. Xiaola quickly returned to her home. But no matter how she searched, she couldn't find the comb. Just then, there was a knock on the door. Xiaola came to the door and saw two policemen outside. Hello. Xiaola realized they were the two policemen who had taken her statement at the police station. Hello, Miss Xiaola. This morning, we took some things from your house for inspection and fingerprints. I'm sorry we didn't tell you beforehand. Now, the things have been returned to the owner, one of the policemen said. Xiaola saw a small cardboard box behind the two policemen. If there's anything missing, please contact us. If we confirm that it was lost due to our negligence, we will compensate you according to the price. Thank you. Do you need us to help you move the box in? No, thank you. After the two policemen left, Xiaola moved the box back to her house. The moment she opened the box, Xiaola's expression changed. Because Punkat and Shan had told her that the wooden comb should have been broken. But now, the comb was placed perfectly in the box, wrapped in a plastic bag. Xiaola was shocked and quickly took a few steps back. Suddenly, Xiaola felt something behind her. She turned around and saw the two policemen standing at the door. They had a strange smile on their faces. Why are you here? The two policemen slowly raised their heads. Their pupils rolled up and they still had that strange smile on their faces. Xiaola realized something was wrong. The two policemen had also touched the comb. Then, the two policemen pulled out their guns. But they didn't aim at Xiaola. Instead, they aimed at their own temples. Bang! Blood and brain matter splattered in front of Xiaola. Xiaola was so scared that she lost her mind. She sat on the ground and screamed in fear. But the next moment, Xiaola raised her head again and realized the two policemen's bodies were gone. There wasn't even a trace of blood at the door. Illusion. The hallucination came again. Xiaola was about to collapse. She ran out of the house. She didn't know where she was going or where she should hide. She just wanted to escape this place, escape this nightmarish home. Xiaola fled in all directions in a panic. But in the community, everything was peaceful and peaceful. It was completely out of place with the terrified and uneasy Shara. Shara also calmed down a little. At this moment, a ball rolled past Shayla and onto the sidewalk. Shayla turned around and saw a little girl standing there. Sister, can you help me pick it up? Just as Xiaola was about to walk over to pick up the ball, she suddenly heard the sound of a car braking. Xiaola turned her head and saw a car coming towards her. Hey, Chen, did you know? Sherlock's in the hospital. Chen Zhao was stunned when he received Four's call. Shara had just left his house today. What happened to her? Car accident. The culprits said that Xiaola suddenly ran into the motorway, and the car behind her couldn't stop in time. What's the situation now? He just came out of the emergency room. He's still alive for now, For said. Then I'll go see her, Chen Zhao said after some thought. Although he did not have a deep friendship with Xiaola, they were at least friends. Plus, Shara had helped when Feilai was in labor. Chen Zhao told Feilai. Feilai also wanted to go see Shara. After all, she was closer to Shara. Shara had been at their house yesterday, and Feilai had a good conversation with her. Chen Zhao had no objections. He brought Feilai and the two kids to the hospital. For, Feilai and I are at the hospital. Which room is Shara in? Room 309, For said over the phone. Chen Zhao's family went to room 309, but they did not see Shara. There were traces of someone lying on the bed, but Shara was nowhere to be seen. Where did Shara go? I don't know. Maybe she went to the toilet. Chen Zhao shrugged. Let's wait. He thought that Shara would be back soon, but after 10 minutes, she still did not come back. Chen Zhao could only call 4 again. 4. Shara isn't in the room. We've waited for 10 minutes, but she's still not back. Did she go for a checkup? Let me check. 4 was also confused. A few minutes later, she replied, no, I checked. Shara didn't go for any checkup. She should be in the room getting in 4. Chen Zhao looked. The 4 stand was still there, and so was the 4 bottle. However, Shara was not there. No. Wait, I'll come. A while later, 4 arrived. Seeing the empty room, she was also confused. That's weird. Shara is so badly injured. Where could she go? 4 took out her phone and called Shara. Shara, what's wrong? Where are you? I'm discharged. It's urgent. With that, Shara hung up. 4 looked at the phone. What's wrong with her? She's so impatient. She hung up right away. Is she in some trouble? Chen Zhao asked. No, what trouble can she have? She's the best anesthesiologist in our hospital. Her income is even higher than mine. In America, doctors were high-income people. Among doctors, anesthesiologists and dentists had the highest average income. An extremely skilled anesthesiologist like Shara could earn close to $300,000 a year. In 4's opinion, Shara had a proper job, a stable income, no bad habits, and a high EQ. She probably wouldn't cause any trouble. But her leg injury is really serious, 4 said. She can't leave the hospital alone. Let's go check the surveillance, Chen Zhao said. Not everyone could see the surveillance, but Chen Zhao still had some privileges in Chantilly Hospital. So, they quickly saw the surveillance. 2 patients had come to Shara's room. One had gauze wrapped around his head, while the other had gauze wrapped around his chest. Not long after entering the room, they pushed Shara out in a wheelchair. Was Shayla kidnapped? 4 guessed. They're Shara's friends. I've seen them before, Chen Zhao said. I'm still worried. I think we should call the police. Do you know where Shara's house is? I'll go take a look, Chen Zhao said. 4. Send Fei Lai and my 2 babies home today. Chen Zhao remembered that the 2 people with Shara had magical waves on them. So, he suspected that Shara had encountered some supernatural event. Chapter 1452. We have to go back as soon as possible. We have to destroy the comb as soon as possible, Sean said anxiously. Teacher Sean, what's going on? Pancat and Xiao La were originally in the hospital, preparing to recuperate. However, Sean anxiously pulled the 2 of them out of the hospital. I know what's going on, Sean said. That wooden comb is not a magic tool. It's an evil channel. What do you mean? I don't understand. Pancat tilted his head and looked at Sean. I made a phone call today and asked my friend, Sean said anxiously. That comb is not a magic tool, but a medium. Anyone who comes into contact with the comb will be marked, and then killed by evil illusions. Our souls will also be drawn to that evil existence through the medium, Sean said hurriedly. Evil existence? What is that? Maybe it's the legendary demon. Sean's expression was very ugly. Does that mean we just need to destroy the comb? Maybe. Sean was not very sure. After all, he had never encountered such a thing before. All the information he had now came from his friend. The more people died, the greater the effect of the medium. Sean and Pancat had already found it difficult to resist yesterday. They had experienced the illusion produced by the evil power and knew very well how terrible it was. If they could not solve the problem as soon as possible, then they would be tortured by the evil power and eventually have no choice but to commit suicide. At least that was what his friend said. When they arrived at Xia La's house, a trace of fear appeared on the faces of the three. All three of them had been tortured by the illusion. If possible, they really did not want to face that terrible illusion again. But they had no choice. They could only muster up their courage. Can you walk? Sean turned to look at Shayla. I can. Xia La said with a cane. She had just been in a car accident today and her injuries were still very serious. But they could not do without her, because she was the owner of the wooden comb. As the owner of the medium, she had the right to destroy the comb. Pan-Cat mustered up the courage to open the door. The room was completely dark, without any light. The three of them looked at each other and finally stepped into the room. However, the moment they stepped into the room, they were plunged into darkness. Damn it, why is it so dark? Shayla immediately took out her phone and turned on the flashlight. The surroundings immediately lit up. However, when they looked around, they realized that it wasn't Shayla's house. Instead, it was a wilderness surrounded by knee-high weeds. There was still a dark forest ahead. What's going on? Where is this place? Why are we here? Both Pan-Cat and Shayla were stunned by the scene before them. They didn't understand. They had just stepped into the house a moment ago, and the next moment, they were in this strange place. All of this was too strange. Sean's expression was solemn. That friend of mine once said that if an evil existence obtains a soul through a medium, then its power will greatly increase, and it is possible to pull people into a different space. In that space, we will face that evil existence directly. What? That's impossible. All three of us who came into contact with the wooden comb are still alive. How could the evil existence you mentioned obtain a soul? We weren't the only ones who came into contact with the wooden comb. Today, the wooden comb was taken away by the police. There should be many police officers who came into contact with the wooden comb. You're saying that evil existence killed the police officers? It's very likely that there's more than one. Sean's expression became even more solemn. He didn't have much hope for this operation. Not to mention that they were all in poor condition. Even if they were in good condition, it would be very difficult for them to win. What do we do now? Shayla looked at the two of them in fear. Stall for time. Sean said, time in the different space is slower than the outside world, but time will still pass. When the sun rises in the outside world, the evil existence probably won't be able to maintain this space, and we will have a chance to escape. However, the owner of this place clearly didn't intend to stall for time. Something began to appear in the dark forest. It was a group of humanoid creatures with brown fur on their bodies. Their heads looked like goats, and their feet looked like goat hooves. However, their hands had 4 fingers. Stillborn monsters. Sean's body trembled. What? Shayla clearly hadn't heard of them. Satan's fanatics, stillborn monsters. Pan-Cat also had a look of horror on his face. It is said that Satan's fanatics will rape women and make them pregnant. When the women give birth, they will leave behind a stillborn child, and then sacrifice the stillborn child to Satan. Eventually, they will awaken in hell and become Satan's evil servant. When Shayla heard this disgusting process, her whole body trembled. Among the group of stillborn monsters, there was a particularly tall stillborn monster. It was nearly 6 meters tall, and the 2 horns on its head were like a spiral. It held a large machete in both hands. Prey. I have already smelled the prey. The prey has fallen into our trap. Children, find the prey and offer it to our master, the great Mikados. The 3 of them wished they could grow another leg, but they were powerless. They were all injured and couldn't move easily. Soon, they were found. These stillborn monsters' vision in the dark was much better than that of humans. Punkat and Sean immediately used their special skills. A stillborn monster pounced at Punkat, and Sean threw out a handful of magic phosphor. The magic phosphor instantly covered the stillborn monster, but how could these filthy creatures be killed by a mere magic phosphor? There were some burns on the stillborn monster's body, but they weren't serious. Punkat took out a talisman and shot it at the stillborn monster. The talisman landed on the stillborn monster's body, and it immediately howled. The other stillborn monsters surrounded them, but they didn't attack. Instead, they watched Sean and Punkat fight with their companions. No, one talisman can't kill it. Then use more talismans. I don't believe we can't kill it. This time, they weren't unprepared. They had bought a large number of talismans. Punkat threw out another 3 talismans, which landed on the stillborn monster's body. The stillborn monster finally fell to the ground, its body constantly twitching. The other stillborn monsters didn't rescue it. Instead, they surrounded it and ate its companions. Please remember this book's domain name, 9 Heavens Godly Emperor mobile version website. Chapter 1453. Seeing these stillbirth monsters devouring their own kind. Punkat, Sean, and Shayla's faces were pale. They were already doing their best to deal with a single stillbirth monster. What's more, there were thousands of them here. In the wilderness outside the forest, there were terrifying eyes everywhere. This was a hopeless situation. There was no chance of winning. At this moment, a deafening roar came from the depths of the dark forest. A huge shadow swept across the forest and appeared above the wilderness with a roar. The leader of the huge stillbirth monsters and the rest of the army all knelt on the ground when they saw this figure. Great Lord Mikados, your servant Dagon Byros pays his sincere respects to you, the leader of the stillbirth monsters shouted. The other stillbirth monsters seemed to be unable to speak, so they made strange noises. Mikados descended from the sky, his huge body making a roaring sound. The 3 of them were already frightened. This monster called Mikados was over 100 meters long and had 2 heads. It looked like a dragon and a snake. Its neck was slender and took up almost half the length of its body. Humans, I like them, whether it's their flesh and soul. Mikados stretched out his slender neck and went in front of Shayla, Punkat, and Sean. The 3 of them felt cold, as if they felt the call of death. I feel your fear and despair. Mikado's other head stretched out, more fear, more despair, only then can you become more delicious food. Sean gathered his courage and threw a bag of magic phosphorus at Mikados, detonating it at the same time. But after the explosion, Mikados was unscathed. Ha! Not only was Mikados not angry, he laughed instead. His voice was filled with joy. Yes, joy. Did you come up with this to make me happy? Very good, very interesting little trick. Mikados laughed and said, however, this stupid behavior offends me. Suddenly, Mikados opened his mouth and wrapped his huge tongue around Sean. Ah, Teacher Sean. Punkat was shocked and anxious, but also full of powerlessness. They had no chance of winning, no hope. Sean had already been swallowed by Mikados, and Shara and Punkat could vaguely hear Sean's screams. But his screams were too short. Which one of you wants to be next? I will bestow upon you the glory of becoming food. Only a ghost would want to be your food. Of course, Mikados obviously wouldn't consider their inner thoughts. 2 huge heads stretched out. Don't worry, I ate too quickly just now, so I didn't get to taste it. But this time, I will taste it slowly and let you fully experience the process of death and the pain. Xiaola was so frightened that she sat paralyzed on the ground. Pankit's condition was not much better than Xiaola's. Looking at the ferocious mouth that was about to envelop them, the two of them no longer had any hope. But at that moment, Mikada's movements suddenly paused, and two pairs of eyes stared at the darkness behind Shara and Punkat. "Sorry, did I disturb you?" An abrupt voice sounded. Xiaola's pupils constricted. Why was this voice so familiar? Then, a figure walked out of the fog. Xiaola cried out in alarm. How could it be him? Chen Zhao strolled over. This place looks very lively. Did I miss something? Food. Another food. Mikados grinned. How come it's you? Chen. Xiaola was also confused. She didn't understand why Chen Zhao would appear here. I got your address from 4. I thought you might be in some trouble, so I came to your house. Seeing that your door was open, I came in directly. But somehow, I ended up here. By the way, what is this place? Xiaola sighed. She didn't expect Chen Zhao to come here. To be honest, she had a good impression of Chen Zhao. She didn't want to drag Chen Zhao down with her. After all, Chen Zhao had 2 cute children. She didn't want them to lose their father. Human, this is my territory, and you will also be my food. Mikado stretched his head over. Xiaola and Punkat realized that Chen Zhao actually didn't feel any fear when facing this monster. Huh, a bastard. Chen Zhao looked at Mikados in surprise. You have the aura of a dragon and another aura. Roar. Mikados was furious. What did you just say? Just then, Dagon Byros walked over. Human. I didn't think we'd meet again. Dagon, you know this human. The great Mikados, Dagon Byros said. This is the human who destroyed my reflection medium last time. It's because of him that your plan to descend to the human world failed. So smelly. Chen Zhao covered his nose and took a few steps back. Who are you? Do we know each other? Human, your forgetfulness can't save your life. The one you defeated last time was just a clone of mine, Dagon Byros said. Dagon Byros said, Great Mikadas, please give your servant a chance to wash away the shame of the past. Go, but I want his soul. Yes, Mikados. Dagon Byros's eyes glowed green. Human, if you can defeat my servant, I'll let you leave, Mikados said in a mocking tone. I see. Chen Zhao rubbed his chin. Should I be grateful for your gift now? Shara and Pankat were both excited, but they were soon disappointed. The difference between Chen Zhao and Dagon Byros was too great. Dagon Byros was 6 meters tall. Compared to Chen Zhao, it was like comparing a giant to a baby. Such a difference in height couldn't be made up for. Even though Dagon Byros had said that Chen Zhao had defeated his clone. However, it was clear that Chen Zhao had only defeated a fraction of Dagon Byros' power. Right now, Chen Zhao was facing a demon at its peak. For example, Pankat and Shan had tried their best, but they could only subdue an ordinary stillbirth monster. Dagon Byros clearly wasn't someone ordinary stillbirth monsters could compare to. Thus, the two didn't have any hope that Chen Zhao could win. Chen Zhao walked forward and faced Dagon Byros. Human, are you ready to die? I'm ready. Come, use your greatest power to kill me. Chen Zhao spread his arms. Chapter 1454. Dagon Byros spread his arms. Black clouds of air began to gather in his palms. Just then, another pair of arms stretched out from under his armpits. He also spread his arms and 2 more black clouds appeared. After a few seconds, the 4 arms were raised high above his head. The 4 clouds of air began to close. Even Shara and Pancat could feel the terrifying aura. Dagon Byros shouted, "Human, let the darkness devour you." A stone sword suddenly appeared in Chen Zhao's hand. He threw it with all his might. Whoosh, the stone sword pierced through Dagon Byros' head. Dagon Byros' expression instantly froze, and his body fell backwards. The black clouds of air gradually dissipated. Everyone's expressions froze. They stared at Chen Zhao, dumbfounded. It was over. Just like that. Where was the battle? Ravage? No, not at all. In Shara and Pankit's eyes, the terrifying Dagon Byros had been killed so easily. He died under a sword, and just like that, he was casually tossed to the side. Or could it be that this was simply an accident? Chen Zhao's victory was just a coincidence. Anyone would be able to do it, right? I won. Chen Zhao looked at Shara and Pancat with a smile. Let's go. Ha! Shara and Pancat still couldn't believe it. They turned around and looked at Mikados in shock. Mikados's eyes glowed fiercely, but he didn't say anything. Chen Zhao still had a smile on his face. Shara and Pancat hurried to Chen Zhao's side and followed him closely. Shara and Pancat kept staring at Chen Zhao. Stop. I've changed my mind. Of course, Mikados wouldn't let them go. He'd never considered this matter from the beginning. Shara and Pancat were shocked. Was that really the case? They all looked at Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao also stopped and turned to Mikados, as if he'd known this would happen. Me too. I've decided to kill all of you. Shara and Pancat were stunned. They were also filled with terror. Kill all of them. Kill all of these demons. Kill these countless stillbirth monsters and the master of these stillbirth monsters, Mikados. This gigantic monster. If you can kill all my servants, I'll let you go, Mikados said in a mocking tone. This time, Shara and Pancat didn't take it seriously. Even if Chen Zhao could kill them all, Mikados probably wouldn't keep his promise, let alone whether Chen Zhao could kill all of them. Chen Zhao shook his head. No, not just them. You're my prey too. Roar, prey. Are you treating me as prey? Ignorant and pathetic human, how dare you call me prey? Bastard, who do you think you are? Kill. 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 Kill them all. Mikados roared and ordered his army of stillbirth monsters. Shara and Pancat felt that Chen Zhao was too impulsive. There was no benefit in angering Mikados at this point. Looking at the suffocating army of dead fetus monsters pressing forward, Lin Fan felt a chill run down his spine. Once again, Shara and Pancat felt the approach of death. Doppelganger. In the blink of an eye, Chen Zhao turned into 7. Cloning technique. Pankat's eyes lit up. But soon, his eyes dimmed. Even though Chen Zhao knew how to clone himself, even if he became 7, it was still disproportionate to the thousands of stillbirth monsters. When the stillbirth monsters approached, the 7 Chen Zhao raised their arms at the same time. 1,000 sword control. Gray light bloomed in an instant. Shara and Pankat's jaws dropped. They watched in shock as the thousands of swords flashed across the night sky, tearing apart the darkness. Even Mikados had a look of disbelief on his face. The stillbirth monsters were decapitated in droves. In the blink of an eye, half of them were dead. To Shara and Pancat, this was an unprecedented shock. Especially Pancat. He and Shan had barely killed a stillbirth monster together. However, the man in front of him had easily killed thousands of stillbirth monsters. After the stillbirth monsters were killed, the dark lava started spreading and devouring their corpses. Chen Zhao realized that the dark aura on these stillbirth monsters was the same as the dark lava. One or two stillbirth monsters didn't have much dark aura, but if it devoured all the dark aura here, the dark lava would at least double in size. There was also the big guy in front of him, Mikados, although he was a mixed-blood dragon. Although he was a mixed-blood dragon, he had a very dense dark aura. Roar, roar, Mikados exploded. He was furious. Even though he said that Chen Zhao would let the three of them go as long as he killed all the stillbirth monsters. But he had never planned to do that. He didn't think that Chen Zhao could really kill all the stillbirth monsters. He didn't care about Dagon Bairo's death. Dagon Bairo's was just a dispensable existence. On the surface, Dagon Bairo's was the leader of the stillbirth monsters, but he was actually just managing them. Now that Dagon Bairo's was dead, he could choose another stillbirth monster to bestow power on. Before long, there would be a second and third leader. The army of stillbirth monsters was the foundation. But now, the dead fetus army had suffered such a huge loss. How could he tolerate this? Mikado's two heads opened their mouths at the same time. One spat out turbid flames, while the other spat out green, corrosive liquid. Shara and Pankit's scalps went numb. Had the monster finally attacked? But the next moment, the dark lava blocked Mikado's spit. Don't worry. I'll send you on your way soon. Chen Zhao pointed and the dark lava pounced at Mikados. Frightened, Mikados hurriedly spread his wings and soared into the sky. Chen Zhao was still slaughtering the stillbirth monsters without restraint. These stillbirth monsters were loyal to Mikados, but it didn't mean that they were fearless. Soon, they were afraid of being killed. Soon, they scattered and ran for their lives. Because of the decrease in numbers, the scene became sparse. The 7,000 Imperial Thousand Swords weren't as effective anymore. Chen Zhao put away the Imperial Thousand Swords. All techniques returned to one. The 6 clones and the main body merged into one. Chen Zhao looked at Mikados in the air. It's your turn, bastard. Chen Zhao was still smiling. But in Shara's, Pankit's, and even Mikado's eyes, this smile was filled with malice. Are you ready to welcome death now? Mikados was about the same size as the black dragon. But the difference in strength wasn't small. The two heads looked quite impressive. In reality, whether it was strength, speed, or dragon aura, they were all much weaker than the black dragon. Chapter 1455. Shara and Pancat were already dumbfounded. Chen Zhao's figure flashed. Shara and Pancat felt the wind pressure from the intense flow of air. Just the wind pressure alone almost made them lose their footing. They looked for Chen Zhao again, but he was nowhere to be found. Just as they were looking for Chen Zhao, there was a loud bang in the distance. Then they saw Mikara's huge body fall from the sky. If the black dragon had been struck by this attack, it might not even have been injured, let alone causing it to fall from the sky. But Mikaras couldn't even take a blow with 30% of Chen Zhao's strength. Just then, the dark lava surged toward Mikaras like a tide. At this moment, the dark magma had doubled in volume. Mikaras struggled wildly, shaking off the dark lava around him and on his body. But the next moment, the dark lava turned into countless blades of different sizes. Mikaras was covered in wounds in an instant. Who knew how much flesh had been cut off from his body? Roar, Shara and Pancat were so shocked by the battle that they couldn't close their mouths. Was this man still human? Mikaras wanted to flap his wings and fly, but Chen Zhao was right above him. Mikaras was less than 10 meters in the air. Chen Zhao pressed down on Mikaras's head again. Mikaras fell into the mountain of blades formed from the dark lava again. "Roar, father, save me!" Mikaras howled. At this moment, a black shadow descended from the sky and landed on Mikadas's body, fusing into one with him. Chen Zhao was surprised. This aura. It was the black dragon's aura. Mikadas's aura had recovered. It was even stronger than before. But this power was external, after all. It didn't belong to him. Chen Zhao didn't give him much chance. A black trident appeared in his hand. The next moment, Chen Zhao fell from the sky like a falling meteor. The black trident stabbed into the intersection between Mikaras's two necks. "Roar!" Mikadas shrieked. Chen Zhao twisted the black trident in his hand and tore open the intersection of its neck. Just then, Chen Zhao had an idea. He gave up on killing Mikaras. Instead, he flew and landed in front of Mikadas. "Now, it's my turn to give you a chance." Chen Zhao looked at the dying Mikadas. Mikadas tried his best to lift both of his heads. His wounds were healing rapidly. However, his powerful recovery did not mean that he was completely unscathed. Both Shala and Pankat were shocked to the extreme. He thought that this was a situation where he would definitely die. Unexpectedly, Chen Zhao was the real monster. Mikadas was scary enough. But before Chen Zhao, he was like a child. Attack or defend. 3 chances. If you're still alive after 3 tries, I'll let you go. The dark lava was shrinking. Ever since its volume doubled, Chen Zhao felt that it seemed to have changed. So, Chen Zhao wanted to experiment with Mikadas. Mikadas knew that he was in big trouble this time, so he didn't dare to be careless. He did not dare to hold back. If he did not use his full strength, he would definitely die. Chen Zhao silently felt the changes in the dark lava. If the dark lava had been a part of Chen Zhao's body before, it was now his limbs. All this time, Chen Zhao's control and practice of the dark lava or the dark serum had been through Samuel. Samuel's control of the dark lava had reached a level where he could do whatever he wanted. He could also take away Chen Zhao's dark lava directly. Of course, as a projection, Samuel could not control too much or take away too much time. However, Samuel's control of the dark lava and the dark serum had reached an amazing level. Samuel could control the dark lava to simulate part of his attacks. He could even use the dark lava to simulate certain forms to release magic. Of course, what Chen Zhao could do now was only mimicry. For example, Samuel could make the dark magma imitate the posture of an animal or a human, and make the attacks of an animal or a human. However, Chen Zhao was still at the level of making the dark lava mimic objects, such as blades. This was the difference in essence. Chen Zhao still could not mimic right now. However, he could feel the changes brought about by the dark lava. The increase in his own power could bring about changes. The dark lava could also bring about changes. If Chen Zhao and the dark lava were compared, it would be like a soldier and a weapon. If the soldier's power increased, the weapon in his hand would naturally be more powerful too. And if the weapon's power increased, the damage it could bring would naturally increase too. Chen Zhao started to gather the dark lava, completely fusing it into his body and the black trident in his hand. Both Chen Zhao and the trident in his hand turned red and black. Mikadas exploded with all his power. Ring of Destruction. Rings of flames exploded around him. Chen Zhao was familiar with this move. It was the same as Black Dragon's. If it was Black Dragon, Chen Zhao would still be a bit worried. But with Mikadas's Ring of Destruction, Chen Zhao couldn't feel any pain even if he stood still. Of course, this was also because he had assimilated with the dark lava, which greatly increased his resistance to heat. Chen Zhao moved and charged through the Ring of Destruction. He swept the trident horizontally and the black trident instantly grew dozens of meters long. Rumble, a ravine was left on the ground and Mikadas's two heads were smashed into pieces. Oh no! He was too heavy-handed. He didn't even last 3 moves. Chen Zhao had originally planned to keep Mikadas alive to test his moves, but he had underestimated the power of his attack. In the end, he killed Mikadas in 1 move. An incorporeal figure floated out of the huge corpse. Despicable human, you said you'd give me 3 chances. Mikada's soul cursed. Chen Zhao raised his arm. Sorry, you're more fragile than I thought. Boom, the white light flashed, and Mikadas's soul was also shattered by the white light, leaving nothing behind. Chen Zhao twisted his neck. It seemed like he could only test his moves on Old Turtle. Chen Zhao put away Mikada's body. He couldn't let his family eat it. Usually, Chen Zhao would have an estimate of whether or not it could be eaten. Mikadas was a hybrid. Hybrids usually had very heavy chaotic power. Humans or animals could mutate if they ate it. At least, if they didn't have enough resistance, they couldn't be eaten. But if family pets could be eaten, they were either demons or hybrids. Please remember this book's domain name, mobile version. Chapter 1456. The alternate dimension started collapsing. In less than 10 minutes, it would completely collapse. Chen Zhao frowned. Dark lava immediately rushed out from under his feet and spread in all directions. In just a few seconds, a stillbirth monster was caught. Then a second, a third, and a third. Chen. Why did you catch these things? I'm so poor that I can't even cook, Chen Zhao said. I caught some game for my pets. As soon as these stillbirth monsters were dragged back by the dark lava, they would immediately be enveloped by it. As for their lives, that wasn't within Chen Zhao's consideration. It was fine as long as their dark power didn't leak out. Time was of the essence. Once the alternate dimension completely disappeared, the 3 would be expelled from this place and the stillbirth monsters would be banished to some corner of hell. The alternate dimension wasn't big. It was probably less than 2 square kilometers. Chen Zhao's dark lava covered an area of about 1 square kilometer. After it stretched out in strips, basically no creature could escape from Chen Zhao's control. The stillbirth monsters were dragged out one by one and then enveloped by the dark lava, turning them into black cocoons. Seeing that the stillbirth monsters were gone, Chen Zhao put away the dark lava. By then, the alternate dimension had already collapsed in front of them. The next moment, the 3 were back in Shera's house. It was like a dream. At least for Shera and Pancat, it was a dream. Crack, Chen Zhao turned on the light. Shera and Pancat immediately felt the light. The bright light made them feel safe and comfortable. Ha! Suddenly, Chen Zhao raised an eyebrow. Your troubles don't seem to be limited to the thing hiding in the alternate dimension. Shera was stunned. Pancat didn't just admire Chen Zhao now. He even feared him. This person was so powerful that it surpassed his knowledge and understanding. After hearing Chen Zhao's words, Pancat immediately realized that he and Sean seemed to have missed something in this house. Chen Zhao walked to the stairs. Shera and Pancat immediately followed him. Chen Zhao rubbed his chin and looked at the floor beside the stairs. Chen, what are you looking at? Under the floor, Chen Zhao said. How long have you lived here? Less than 2 months, Shera said. Xiala said, it was your payment last time that allowed me to have enough money to buy this house. No wonder, Chen Zhao said. If you stay here for too long, you'll probably die a horrible death. What exactly is here? Chen Zhao flicked his finger. The wooden boards on the ground were lifted one by one, revealing the basement below. However, Xiao La and Pancat couldn't see anything. It was too dark down there. Is there anything down there? Shayla's face was filled with fear. You'll know soon enough. At this moment, the lights in the living room dimmed without warning. The whole room was plunged into darkness once more. However, the darkness did not last long. Suddenly, a fire appeared in the dark basement. In the next instant, a twisted ball of flame crawled out of the basement. Evil scorching flame spirit. Pancat was shocked. No, it wasn't the burning fire evil spirit, but a twisted monster made up of dozens of burning fire evil spirits. He had never seen such an ugly, disgusting monster. However, before he could react, Chen Zhao had already swung his fist and smashed the twisted monster into pieces. Sparks and ashes scattered everywhere. Chen Zhao raised his right arm. The mouth of gluttony absorbed. Delicious. The mouth of gluttony sensed it. Pankit's face was filled with shock, but he quickly regained his composure. Compared to the countless stillbirth monsters and Mikados, this twisted evil spirit did not seem that scary. Since Chen Zhao could easily deal with Mikados and the army of stillbirth monsters, it was not surprising that he could destroy this twisted evil spirit. The lights in the room lit up again. Mr. Chen. What's going on? I believe you don't want to know what's going on down there, Chen Zhao said. You better call the police now. Call the police. Xiao La was still confused. And sue the person who sold you the house. Xiao La could not help but be curious, but she soon regretted it. Even Pancat regretted his curiosity when he shone his flashlight at the situation below. It was too scary. There were dozens of charred corpses down there. These corpses were all stuck together like charcoal, forming a hellish scene. This house could not be lived in anymore. Xiao La was really unlucky. Even if Chen Zhao solved the problem, it was still uninhabitable. Imagine having dozens of charred corpses buried in the basement of your house. Even Chen Zhao could not tolerate it, let alone Xiao La. It was not fear, but disgust. It was human instinct. Then Xiao La called the police. When the police arrived, they were also shocked. After checking, they discovered that there were 66 charred corpses in the basement. The oldest among them was at least 30 years old. Almost all of them had become mummies. Xiao La wanted to cry but had no tears. She had no choice but to ask the real estate agency for compensation. Of course, she had just bought the house. Now that there was a problem with the house, it was easy to ask for compensation. Chen Zhao agreed to let Xiao La stay for a few days until she found a new house and settled down. She did not want to step foot in that house anymore. It was too scary. She shuddered at the thought that she had lived in that house for more than a month. There were also dozens of corpses and their twisted souls that had fallen asleep with her. The three left after giving their statements to the police. Chen Zhao brought Xiao La to his house. Of course, Chen Zhao did not welcome Pancat. Even though Pankat's tone implied that he wanted to get to know Chen Zhao better. Chen Zhao ignored Pancat. They were not familiar with each other and did not interact much. Enjoying the night sea breeze on the highway, Xiao La asked curiously, Mr. Chen, are there many people like you? I have quite a lot of friends like you, Chen Zhao said. How about compared to the supernatural organization in Los Angeles? Ha! You know about the supernatural organization. I once attended a class under Pancat and Sean's guidance. You don't know Sean, right? He also fell into that space and was eaten by that monster. I'm the president of the supernatural organization. Xiao La was stunned, but she quickly understood. This did not surprise her too much. A powerful existence like Chen Zhao was completely different from a wild spiritualist like Pan Cat. Therefore, it was not strange that Chen Zhao could lead the supernatural organization. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.